Yeah, guys. We are here. St. Tomalin George. Good to see you, man. We are here. St. Tomalin George. What's
Yeah,
up?
what's up, buddy?
Yeah, we are good. We good. Everything looks good. Everything looks good.
You want water?
I saw the minister earlier. It seemed like he went in the back. Uh, uh, guys, we ask you to share the show. It's a great show tonight. We ask you to share the show. Great show tonight. We have the Minister of Public Work of the Republic of Liberia. His Excellency, his honor, Mr.
Is the honorable.
The Honorable, yeah, I almost said it, the Honorable Lafayette Giddens, right?
Yes,
Uh,
Roland
he's
Lafayette
our,
Gideon.
he's our guest tonight. So we're going to talk about roads in Liberia, the Minister of Public Works, what they're doing. It's a whole lot, man. It's a whole lot we're going to talk about. So we encourage you to share the show. It's going to be a great 2 hour conversation with the minister. And, we are glad to be back on the air. We're glad to be back, guys. We are glad to be back. Let me thank some people who helped us last time and made some donation. Guys, we back on this show. We want to bring it to you live, man. But, it's expensive. But we're going to make sure to keep it going. Keep it going. Some folks last week who made some contribution to us. We are very, very, very grateful last week for them that helped, kept the show. Anna Wale, Patient Green, Ivan Loken, Sarah Doppel, Winifred Smith, Moluba Cully. Thank you for your contribution. Also, Miss Ella Foster, she made a contribution as well. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for your contribution. But look, share the show. We're looking forward to a great show today. We are back. Very sorry for Friday. We were just caught up in a lot on Friday, and that's why you didn't see it. But we're looking forward to have a good show with the Minister of Public Work. I saw him in the back earlier, Tony.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, he was there earlier, and then he went off.
The man's
Uh,
very punctual. He's a very punctual. He's very always on time. So
yeah, he was in the back earlier. So, but Tony, how did your weekend go? I know you were in Maryland. You attended that Doma Fest in Maryland, and
yeah, well, the rain. It started raining Friday night and rain all day, but Makan got a great turnout.
wow,
A great turnout of people show up, came to support her, and
wonderful.
I mean, it was a good turnout there, and we had a nice time there. Look, they played the guy from Charlotte, that DJ, what his name? Tom Sherman, I think.
Yeah,
Body, that guy is good, man. The guy is good. The guy played the music. If you back in the day, normally before the war, all the music and like people used to do for talent show. That's what that
right,
guy was playing, man. And the people at the park, they were. I mean, they dance, man. I see everybody was just having fun,
right,
having
right.
fun. Yeah, people dance and talking different things, politics or different things. People talking, having fun, man. It was an interesting occasion. In fact, I remember it was there that in fact, while I was there, I think yeah, Stanton called me, and he
Okay,
called me from there. Yeah, later on, then he called me and we chatted. Then we shared some fun. Then I called. Then Isidore contacted me, so I called the show live, Spoon Talk live, and
okay,
Kevin and I were together, and we
okay,
extended Stanton birthday greetings, because he always call and our birthdays too, and text her and calls on our birthday. So we call him and we extend happy birthday greetings to him on his
yeah.
birthday.
I spoke with him early in the day when I was
Yeah,
traveling to New York and
yeah.
extended
So
him happy birthday. So
yeah, we had a nice time there. We talk and then we just laugh, have fun. But it was a good time.
right, I see the minister in the back.
Oh yeah. So by the way, we're gonna start. We got the ministers around. We're gonna start.
Yeah, it just went off.
Okay.
He just went off, but I saw him in the back. Once he come back, we'll just
Yeah.
get him back on. But Roland Lafayette Giddens is the Minister of Public Work of the Republic of Liberia. and he will be joining us to have some discussion. If you remember him, he also used to appear here as a guest panelist a couple of prior to the election in Liberia. So he will be joining us today, folks. We ask you to share. This will be a wonderful show. We're looking forward to a great conversation and just to know what's going on in the first 90 days of President Joe Blockeye, the first 90 days. We want to know what's going on, what has been the preparation for the construction of new roads in and out of the country, connecting different places. So we're going to hear that, and we're going to have a very frank discussion here today. Just want to know what's happening. We'll be joined by other panelists. Other panelists. Kelabu, I think you need to position yourself. You're not too clear, Kelabu. So I mean, your face not showing. So yeah, but it's been a great week. We Stanton happy birthday. We did talk, and I wish him. I was on my way to New York to visit a friend who was not well, but thank God he's recovering now. My friend Robert Reese, he's recovering. He calls himself a miracle, but it seems like the ministers in the back. We're not going to waste
So
any
yeah,
time.
so we'll
But
bring
we're
the
going.
minister on. Want to welcome our own friend and brother, the Honorable Minister of Public Works of the Republic of Liberia, William Lafayette Giddings. And he said we should always keep his space on this platform. He got his space still. He's still so. Well, Honorable
Yeah.
Giddings, man, good to see you. Congratulations on your Senate state as Minister of Public Works. And want to say how first of all, how are you doing? How the family, and how's everything at your end going?
Thank you, Tomalin. Thank you so much, Dr. Peabody. Thank you also for having me tonight. Excited to be here. Like I said to you, I have a space here, and I will always find the time to come by. Once we have the opportunity to do so. But it's good to be here. The family is okay. Uh, Everybody doing good. Yes, so I'm glad to be here. I'm sure there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
So,
So
uh,
yes. As again, I want to say we appreciate you coming. We appreciate you taking our invitation to come and talk. Peabody, before we start, you got anything to say before we start?
Well, Honorable Minister, it's good to see you and welcome home. This is you were here before the election, and you are back, and your space will always be here. You and Jackie McKay will always have a space for you guys. But it's good to see you, and welcome again. Welcome back to the Close and Acumen.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll get it going. The other guys will join us. But Mr. Minister, first we want to give you opportunity to give your opening. Since you took over the office, what you like the challenges and how to call it the SWOT analysis. People say the strengths, the weaknesses, all the opportunity, threats, everything that you have encountered so far, and where we are right now as a minister of public works.
Okay, so Timothy, thank you for having me. Like I say again, it's good to be here tonight. We took over the Ministry of Public Works, of course, after all of what happened with the elections, and this is our time to govern. So of course, I'm not a stranger to the Ministry of Public Works. So I went back into the Ministry of Public Works, knowing exactly what the issue will be. If I saw that a desk has been moved from one point to the other, I knew why it was moved, and I knew how to get it back to where it should be. So I was not a stranger going to the Ministry of Public Works. So I went in there right away trying to understand, some of the changes that were made in terms of how the ministry was functioning, okay, from, personnel issue to operational issue to contracting issue to, working with the donor partners because, most of our major investment in our road sector are financed by multilateral and bilateral partners. So you have to have that kind of coordination network with them. So I first needed to understand where we had gotten as a country with what the last government has done. So the health of the ministry when we got there was not that terrible, but there were some issues that we had to deal with. We had some personnel issue, and I can say to you that the place was firstly overcrowded. We have almost 100 persons who were considered as volunteers in the Ministry of Public Works that did not have any assignment specifically. They were not on payroll. They were not considered as employees, but volunteers. Now, I don't know how you could have all those amount of people as volunteer in a government ministry or agency, of course, being responsible for taking decision, working with the ministry assets, participating in some of the functionaries and operation of the ministry, even making decision. But again, that was what it was. So we felt it wasn't the right thing to do. If we wanted to have anything of such, it should be like an internship program that would bring in, young engineers or young technicians or anybody from other for institutions and the other places who want to have an opportunity to at least intern while they stay in colleges or having graduated, want some kind of job experience. So we had to let all those people go. We did some reordering of some of the people in position. I know there were changes made for some people who have had the experience in those positions with very new people. We did an evaluation. We didn't just move people around. It was not political because there were people who were even from the quote unquote opposition now, or you call seditions that we kept in position, or we even elevated and put into position because we felt it was about governance. It was not about now trying to show that the Unity Party and its alliance has won election. So everything that happened now should be about us. No, we didn't see that. So we have a very functioning ministry right now when it comes to personnel. Of course, there was this thing about the civil service. In December, wrote a memo. I know I heard I was even on your platform that I wrote a memo to people not being in the employees because the civil service agency in December did a circular that said that all of those who were consultants, their contract was expired and that they had no contract anymore. So when we got there, we did not just went ahead and allow other people to go home because some of them were still coming to work. They felt, as much as the civil service agency did that, they still had hope that they could be considered, and a lot of them were considered. To do a lot of them are, still working with the ministry. Of course, we just finalized and launched the civil service policy to be able to change the way that civil service but consultancy policy to change the way people are hired. So we're trying to fix some of those personnel issues. And I think now personnel matters okay. In terms of physical assets, who met the ministry with a lot of issue. There were people who walk away with vehicle. To date, we're able to retrieve only 2 vehicles. There are a lot of vehicles that may still be out there with some of those who were ministers, deputy assistant ministers who thought that they shouldn't return it. They had 2, they carried 2, they had 3, they carried 3, left 1. So we stay working with them. We did some submission to the GSA task force to see how they can retrieve some of the vehicles. So we have some challenges when it comes to access specifically vehicles. We had also a lot of equipment that were left with us by the Chinese on-mill contingent that we left at the Ministry of Public Works. Those equipment were in good condition. Many of them were decommissioned, not properly through the GSA. So we submitted that report to GSA to make sure they follow up with some of the deputy and assistant ministers who are responsible for that. And so we're dealing with that situation. Of course, we have to find a way now to address the transportation issue with some of our ministers, assistant ministers, deputy ministers do not have a vehicle. We're trying to find a way to address that. In terms of the physical outlook of the infrastructure, the building in which the Ministry of Public Works is hosted, we had serious issue. In fact, right now we are de-roofing. We are changing almost the entire roof of the building. It has been leaking for the last 2 years. When it rains, most of the offices are flooded, but we have found a way to do that. Now you go to the Ministry of Public Works, we're trying to, de-roof some of the places that are not okay to make sure we're able to catch up with the rains. So on in terms of the physical outlook, we have the ministry now, electrified. Even at night, you go there, we have solar lights all around for security reasons because there were a lot of theft taking place. People were jumping from the gray area is right closer to the ministry where you have the Zogos. They'll just jump over and try to make away with things. There were issue of insecurity there. So we have serial lighting at night during the night. On the issue of contracting, we have reviewed a lot of contracts. We intend not to just cancel contract. We intend to fix some of the contract. Like the RI road project, we're fixing that. I don't know when last you were here, but if you come, you see that the project is fast advancing because of the changes and adjustment we've made to that. I think the contractors know that there's a new leadership who understand exactly what should be done, and we are demanding that they do the right thing. So we're fixing the contract. We are not trying to, undo the contract, though we know that there were issues in terms of the way the contracting process and the way it was done. And because of that, there were some abnormalities in the performance of the contract. In fact, the last Minister of Public Works raised that and even testified that the contractors did not have the expertise at a certain point in time to continue to do the work. But over time, I think they subcontracted China Railway 7, which is taking a big portion of the project now from the airport side. They've done some good work. East International over time is developing the capacity. So we're trying to make the project work. And I think we are at the point where it is working. We have reviewed some other contracts. In fact, today I signed a letter to send to the Ministry of Justice with two contractors who received money and had not delivered on what they should have. We've got there, spoke to them. They are not responding in the way we thought they should, so we just sent that to the Ministry of Justice for the Ministry of Justice to deal with that. There's some contracts that we're reviewing that have performed, but we need to strengthen. We are doing that. So, in terms of how the ministry has been since we took over, that's what it is to date. Our vision is not to go into full new contracting 100%, besides the 100 days intervention that we are doing, the various corridors. The intent is for us to look at finding ways now to do major investment in some of the other corridors. And we have funding already to cover the corridor from Tapeta all the way to Fishtown. So I can say to you that by 2028, 2029, you could drive from Monrovia to Harper. I'm saying that because we already at the point where most of the funding have been secured. Of course, I'll give credit to the last government. They did some work in securing some of the money. Since we took over, we've closed the gap between Fishtown and Zwerju. We're finalizing the last financing and also the one between Tapeta to Zwerju. So yes, there's continuity, and we want to say the last government played that role. But we have to do it because it's about the country. I mean, one government come and can do it even faster than the last government. I think that's what we should do. So we're trying to do it faster because we have the experience doing it. So there's so much we're talking about. But overall, that's where the ministry is. I think we are on a good footing now, and we just should continue to do our work. In terms of the 100 days, I know there are a lot of hullabaloo about that, there are a lot of misinformation all in the public about what we've done. But today, people are driving from Zwerju to Monrovia in 6 hours. People are driving from Zwerju to Ganta in 3 hours. In fact, the senator, what his name, Senator Zoe Penner was in the Senate day before yesterday, and he said to his colleagues, "Look, it's surprising. Over the last 6 years, I've never driven to Monrovia just in the space of 6 hours, and I did that a few days ago." So that tells you that the intervention that we've made to insist that we have to intervene in this corridor before the rain comes have begun to yield the kind of results. So yes, as we go forward, there will be more to talk about. But again, like I said, thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be back where I should be. Kev, how you doing?
Not bad, my brother. How are you?
Good.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Welcome, Kev. Welcome, Kev.
Mm, mm.
Minister, we'll go in our questions, our questions, and then after me, I'll go to Peabody and Kev will go around. So the President Vargas announced his 100 days deliverables, and public works are one of the major areas that people talk about. Maybe you address the issue about the president saying that in his first 100 days, no car will get stuck on a major highway. Can you address that and say that that was accomplished? There were no major car that got stuck on the highway. And then in its my second question part is, you just left the U.S. you came for the spring meeting. And just tell us what was the role and what achieved from that meeting as from your sector of ministry. Thank you.
Okay, so the World Bank. Let me talk about that before I speak about the 100 days. The World Bank major investment in Liberia, especially in the road infrastructure, is the biggest portfolio. So road takes the biggest chunk of what the World Bank invests in our country, in terms of grant, if it's grant support or loan, major investments. So of course, when there is a team going to the spring meeting, the Ministry of Public Works has to be a key part of that delegation to the spring meeting. And it was good that this meeting, that this time around, was to look at replenishing the international development system to country like ours. And the World Bank was looking at recalibrating. There was a kind of evolution as to how they deal with developed and undeveloped country like ours. So it was a very important meeting. What we did, we presented our vision for the sector. Now, like we have just overall, in terms of the road survey that was done to 2019, suggests that we have 13,000 kilometers of roads. And out of that, we've paved now more than 1,500 kilometers. This tells you that we have a deficit of 11,500 kilometers. It's a big portion to have. And for us, we need to find much more creative way to invest in the road sector. So our conversation with the bank was clear. When I took over as Minister of Public Works, I met the bank team, and they had done a sector development plan for the next 10 years. And I said, well, I needed to review the plan. So the plan was given to me, and I reviewed the plan. And in the plan, the bank was suggesting, working with the last government, that they will be investing, or the whole sector investment in terms of road development will be 1 billion in the next 10 years. And I said 1 billion investment in the next 10 years will give us not more than 1,200 kilometers of roads. So if we say in 10 years we want to invest 1,200 kilometers of roads, that means we are reducing the deficit just by 1,200 kilometers, remaining 10,300 kilometers not paved in 10 years. And I said that was unacceptable. So my submission to the bank was that, look, we need to find creative way. As much as we are staying in the program with the bank, we're staying in the IMF program, which give some restriction in terms of the fiscal space for us to do, additional commercial lending, resource swap, and all kinds of other creative way to raise resources to invest in our road network. You have to support us. I'm looking at how can we attract private investment in the road sector. So now I said IFC, we spoke with IFC and MIGA, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, which is responsible for providing major guarantee for private investment, but on the bank side. And I said, we have to begin to use your facility. We need to look for commercial lenders that will be able to give us, a loan that may not be very, expensive, even if we 4%, a kind of, expanded grace period. We need MIGA not to provide a kind of guarantee, especially with the road fund that we have, which is serving as a domestic resource mobilization. We need MIGA to come in. And I think they got that message. So we have some conversation with them. We also spoke about private investment, yes, but also looking at tolling our roads. So we presented to them the plans of tolling our roads, and the intent is in the next 2-3 years, we should have toll on some of the corridors. So, for example, from Real Light to Guinea Bissau, that corridor will be turned over to us by next year, 100%. And by then, we have to maintain it as a government. So we now looking at, joint venture with a private firms, either with the firm that's already constructing it because we owe them on maintenance to set up tool system, and also the corridor from Buchanan, from Cotton to Buchanan, and also from EAW Junction to RIA when it's done, and also to look into the southeast. So we are finding creative way to make the road fund that kind of guarantee, financial infrastructure that MIGA can see to say, yes, with the road fund, we can provide the kind of buffer you need for private financing. So my argument is that we cannot accept that in the next 10 years, we only invest 1 billion. We are looking at investing close to 2.53 billion in the next 10 years. At least that will reduce the deficit considerably, especially in our major primary corridors and in corridors that are leading to, tourist attraction. Under the arrest agenda, we have tourism, which is the last part of that support, development. And we think to enhance tourism, then we need to put in place the kind of infrastructure Since there are constraints with roads and energy, we believe investing in roads and enhancing energy will be the way to go. So we presented that to the bank also, and I think they were excited about that. I will be sending, we're concluding two different letters back to the bank, to the infrastructure, the director for regional infrastructure for Africa specifically. He's asked us to submit that in terms of the support, technical support for the toll system, and to also, engage MIGA on how they can support the issue of attracting private financing. Because since we took over, we've had many investors come with private money, but because we have this issue enter into the IMF program that will limit or in terms of our fiscal space. The debt to GDP ratio is anywhere around 56% right now. So that tells us that we have some challenges because the debt is anywhere around 2 point something billion. Left with us by the last leadership. We inherited that. We have to work with it. So we have to find creative way now to try to work around the debt situation, but still continue to finance our investment. These were some of the messages that we presented to the bank while we had the spring meeting, and I think they were very interested in what we're proposing, and they agree with me that the plan that looks at investing, 1 billion over 10 years is not a very ambitious plan. It's not growing up because if a deficit is right now is about 11,500 kilometers, and you do 1,200 kilometers in 10 years, that's 10,300 kilometers left. It's like we've done nothing. And I said, it's unacceptable. We have to do more than that, especially investing in our corridor. And I think about that. So on the spring meeting, that was what we presented for our sector overall. Um, of course, the 100 day, about the 100 day. The president made a policy statement that in 100 day he wanted to make sure no guy gets stuck in the mud. It was a challenging statement. And he said that, of course, out of the passion for to see that, every year during the rain, cars get stuck almost everywhere. People stay hours, not just hours, but weeks and days on the road in major corridor, major primary corridor that should be pliable. So his conversation was, how can we do this? And we started working on this even from the campaign because that's when he made the statement. We work on that and we developed the plan as to how we proceed. And after the election, good to that, I became Minister of Public Works. We already had the plan. We knew exactly what we wanted to do. It was not a perfect plan. But today, in terms of the implementation, we found a way to implement that. I can tell you, Tomalin, I'm sure you've seen that. Talk to people in Grand Juda, talk to people in Lofa, talk to people in Bopolu. The other day, the president and I was on the Bopolu corridor. We're talking out there to see what's happening. You will see that a lot of work has been done. Talk to the people who live within the corridor from Buchanan to ITI and from ITI to Greenville. We're doing everything to make the reply, but it's not 100% yet because there was a whole process, even with the single source that we did. There was a whole process leading to approvals for us to get PBCC no objection, get the Ministry of Finance to commit that the money is going to be available in the draft budget and that they had to make available a portion under the 112. There was a whole process. It took time away from us, but finally we are in those corridors. Even with the rain, we are working, and I think we are getting the results. We have not hearing yet about terrible cars getting stuck in the mud. The rain has not really come yet, but those contractors are supposed to remain in the corridor. We'll talk more as we, interface with questions, but I think we are making significant progress.
We are live on Had FM, live on Truth FM, and on YouTube, and several radio stations across the country are carrying this program live. So tune in and you can share the show. The Minister of Public Works, Honorable Giddings, Roland Giddings, is our guest tonight, and he's talking about one of the most important things in our country, the roads, issue of roads, and the panelists will be engaging in asking questions about all of that as he has already deliberated on it. So we'll go to Peabody now to continue the questioning.
Honorable Minister, thank you. One thing you talk about, kind of grasped that during the statement. You talk about some contractors. You said there were two contractors that may have received some money, but the work is not done and nothing is done, and you have to reach out to them. Who are those contractors?
Okay, so again, we are not going to. We've been interacting with them, trying to engage them to see how we could, salvage their, their reputation as a company because sometimes you don't want to just get out into the public and call their names. But because they have not, responded like the way I thought they would, we've been going back and forth with them. They have not responded. So there's a contractor called Future Builder. They were supposed to build two bridges. They receive 4% of the funding, almost 100% of the funding. I don't know why the last administration even did that to disperse almost 100% to a contractor, and that they were supposed to, build two bridges. One of the, I think, so they always speak about this bridge. One of the bridges within the Clis Outland area, they have not been able to do that. They did not start any work. We met them. We asked them why. In fact, the last administration sent them to justice. Justice sent them back to uh, to the Ministry of Public Works to see how they could work with them. But they just don't have the capacity. They asked me for us to go ahead and write to give them, some loan or whatever through the banks. And I said, if you got 100% of the funding to build the bridge and you did not even start, where are you going to get the money from to pay the loan? So we realized we could get nothing out of them. We are sending them to justice. They're also a contractor, ABK. They were supposed to supply 42 pieces of equipment for the Ministry of Public Works. They supplied 27 pieces. They got funding to supply, the contract was about $4.8 million. They were paid $4 million upfront, and they supplied $3.2 million worth of equipment. So they owe the ministry 800,000 worth of equipment. Since I got there, we met them. We've been talking to them. They did not really say what the issues were. They were they were dispersed in advance more than what they supply. They said they had some issues, and I thought we could give them time to be able to address the issue, but they do not seem like they want to do so. So we've just finalized the two of them from now. There are other contracts that we're reviewing. And with today, I submitted under my signature those two contractors to the Ministry of Justice for the Ministry of Justice to begin to engage them. And as far as I know now, they will do no work for the Ministry of Public Works. And we'll be pushing that, other ministry agency do not engage with them, even if they do other works, because they already defaulted, working with the Ministry of Public Works.
Yeah, Honorable Minister. I mean, obviously they have used the money because I don't know what the time frame. You talk about the previous government were paid under the previous government, and they have used that money been that long. If they were going to do the work, they probably would have done it, and then you gave them the time. But I hope you guys persecute them because this will serve as a deterrent to other contractors that want to come up there and do contract with the government, all of that. But let's get to your 90 days. You have been minister for 90 days. You talk about Robert F. Road. I was in Liberia just April. I did drive on part of the road and all of that. Well, your critics are saying, why credit yourself? These work were done by the previous administration. But I'm interested in knowing what have been your signature work since you took over in 90 days. What is the major project that you undertook in the last 90 days?
So, okay. So let me say that because we of course the budget process is just getting completed. So the 100 days intervention was the major intervention. We had to go through a process, through a special procurement arrangement, a special procurement plan on the 112 with the support from the Ministry of Finance and the PPCC. So the major project that we're undertaking since we took over in terms of works is the 100-day intervention. So that is stabilizing the corridor between Salaye to Vonjuma, which is anywhere around 111 and 15 kilometers. The corridor from Vonjuma to Foya, which is 63 kilometers. The corridor from Foya to Minikoma, which is 16 kilometers. The corridor from Tapeta to Toastowns to Zwerju, which is 115 kilometers. The corridor from Zwerju to Kariake, which is 75 kilometers. The corridor from Peabody to Bakleve, which is 75 kilometers. The corridor from Buchanan to ITI Junction, which is 115 kilometers. The corridor from ITI to Greenville, which is 96 kilometers. The corridor from Burville to Bopolu, which is 86 kilometers. So it's almost 700 plus kilometers, 740 something kilometers that we have got involved with over the last 90 or 100 days. And it's very aggressive works taking place in those corridors. We're very clear with the contractors that we hire that this is no business as usual. This is a completely different administration. And we want to see the right things happening. So those contractors were told, you got to do your work. And I was very clear with them. And, I can always say this, that, there are very different people in this country too. It's not everybody that may be the same. I'm not priding myself in that, but we try to behave in a way that brings sanity to the work. So if you see the level of commitment from the contractors now that are taking place and the works that have been done, will tell you the kind of leadership that we've provided at the Ministry of Public Works over the last 100 days. And I think it has worked. I've been in the ministry for the 12th of this month will make me 90 days. So I'm less than the 100 days, 10 less than 100 days by the 12. But I accept to take the responsibility when I got confirmed and took over on February 12th at the Ministry of Public Works. So with that, I've done that. Besides that, we've done some drainage cleaning on the LERP project, which is financed by the World Bank. When we got there, we had that project already in place and we had to roll it out. So that has been doing drainage cleaning. Over the last 90 days, we've also been doing some demolition exercises. We've been opening up alleys. We've been clearing the right of way. We started that even around the president house, and we continue with that. So almost every weekend, we have our zoning team out there with equipment, creating access, breaking down properties that are in the alley. But we'll go through a complete process. They have the hearing, they have the you know, of course, you hear them, you don't just do it. We have a whole process to get them to go through that. And once it's finalized by our legal people, we're doing demolition. So yes, those are the projects that we've undertaken over the last 100 days. And I think they are massive and the results are being shown out there.
Hmm. Thank you. I think Kev next.
Hey, Minister, and how are you again? And welcome to the closing argument. Okay, let me ask
What
you
do you
this.
think?
Yeah, let me ask you this. You said 783.5 kilometer road. All those roads are in good condition, drivable condition, as we speak right now that you're working on. They all
Okay, so I won't say in 100%. No, I won't say that because we continue to stabilize some of the corridors. So, for example, between Tapeta to Zwerjo, we have almost 15 critical spots. And with the 15 critical spots, we've stabilized up to 10 of them, 10 or 11 now, and they are still working. Because when we started, of course, it was a little late. So it is not that in 100 days we complete all these corridors, not possible. In fact, the contracts are broken down into different phases. There are contracts that are for 2 years, there are contracts that are for 1 year. So I can give some example. The corridor from Tapeta to Zoetra is for 1 year. And the reason why it's for 1 year is because by next year, first quarter, we have contractors in that corridor paving the road. We have the financing for that. There'll be two contractors between Tapeta to Zoetra. We already have a contractor paving from Ganta to Saclipie and from Saclipie to Tapeta. So Tapeta to Toast down to Zorju, there will be two contractors paving the road by next year, first quarter. So we have 1 year contract that lasts up to March of 2025. So the corridor also from Zorju to Kanwiken, there's two corridors, 48.5 kilometer and 50 kilometers. Those two corridors will be occupied next year also, first quarter by two contractors that will be paving it on an African Development Bank project. So this they're for 1 year each. And then the ones that are within the corridor for Salaye to Vonjima to Foya to Minikoma for 2 years, Buchanan to Atia, Atia to Greenville 2 years, Plibo to Barclayville 2 years, Bravo to Bobolu 2 years. So we're saying within
but
100 days,
Minister, I want to
let's
hold
get
you there.
started.
Minister,
So
Minister,
I
Minister,
come
I
there's
want to
no
hold you
hundred
there.
percent. Let me lay on this. There's no
No, I
hundred
want to hold you.
percent
I want
in
us to
terms
keep
of
the
where we
discussion
are.
I want us to keep the discussion within the 100 days. Leave the next
Yeah.
year, leave the next year, and out of this for now. Let's keep it in the 100 days. The president talked about 783.5 kilometers of road. Uh, what the president presented to the people, that most of the roads are in good condition and drivable. That's what I want us to talk about.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
let me ask you this. It's straight to the point. Are the roads the president talk about, are they drivable?
Yes. Some of the roads are drivable, and like
If
I
you say
said,
that, if you
if
say
you
they are drivable, I want you to watch this video. Play the video. Studio. Play this video.
Okay, folks, Spoon TV Live, we are here between Zueju and Toast Town. We are headed to Toast Town, but the road here, as you can see, is very, very deplorable. I mean, it's beyond deplorability. Very, very bad. It's nearly impassable. As you can see, the trucks have gotten stuck from both sides of the road. So there's no way for any vehicle from Zueju headed to Nimba to pass through very easily until these trucks can be removed, until they can make their way out of this mud. But that's how bad the road situation here is between Zueju and Toast Town. I don't know how it's going to be like going further. This is just one of the worst.
Okay, okay, Minister, you seen the road. What the president presented to, like I said, to the Liberian people a couple of days ago. Um, he kind of explained to the people like the roads are drivable. But this video is a couple of days video. As you see it, it's not drivable. You give the president a wrong information, Mr. Minister.
So I listened to the video, and I did not hear the person who recorded the video to say, I'm doing this within this period. It is this time or that time." So that could be
I
a
can
video
tell
that
you,
was done.
it's a
And was,
recent.
no, I come in now. Let me address it. Mama,
I
you talk,
can
let me talk
show
to
you.
now. I beg
Yeah, go
you.
ahead. Go
If
ahead.
you don't, you are not, I'm not screening to the show. I beg you.
Moment, I
So
reason
let
why
me talk.
we're racking it
So
on you.
so yeah, so let me talk to you. So the point I'm making here is that there was no, the president did not state, when that video was recorded. Besides that, if you want to go to the Senate, 3 days ago, Senator Zopeno was in the Senate. He drove from Zerju, took 3 hours from Zerju to Kanta, and he said it to his colleagues. Go and find that video. He was in the Senate. Zopeno, who I would say somebody who did not support the president initially, but said that the gentleman, you need to go and see what's happening in that corridor. I can say to you, significant work has been done in that corridor. People are not driving for that. If you know anybody from Zerju, call them and ask them what the corridor looks like from Tapeta to Zerju. They will tell you. So I'm not saying that it's that perfect because the contractors are still working. If you go down the road, you see they still stabilize different sections. But I can tell you the road is pliable because if people taking 3 hours from Zerju to Kanta, it tells you first it was almost whole day. It was 9, 10 hours just for Kanta to Zerju. People slept on the road. That's not happening now. Call people in Zerju and ask them. People will tell you that. So we're making progress. Okay, we're making progress. It was initiated in 100 days. It's not going to finish in 100 days, but I can tell you, if you get up to the next dry season, you will see how pliable the roads will be. They are now because people are traveling these corridors and making the impression that we're doing a good job. And it's not just going to be for a while. It's going to be for a
Yeah,
long time. I can say that to
Minister,
you.
the information we get. Matter of fact, I have a lot of people from that corridor. The information we get it's not aligned with what Zopen is saying. What Zopen is saying, I think he made a political statement at that time. But and we asked people, and what people said is not true. So what Zopen was saying, maybe just trying to, uh, kind of massage the president, head. But I don't think it's true. Let me ask you two questions into one, please, and other guys will come in. Uh, did the president meet his 100 days deliverable in time of public works? Because
You see, so the road from Buchanan to RTI is a 2 year contract for maintenance. And if the road was not given to Chico, I think it's the wrong information you have. That road was given to three Liberian contractors, and it's broken down into three lots. There's Robots from the Buchanan end, we have Adams, and we have Mendy Construction. Those are three Liberian companies that are working in that corridor. It is not Chico. That's not true. I don't know where you got the information from, but it's not Chico in that corridor. And they're working there for 2 years. They are doing covers, they are expanding the road, they are doing regraveling, and they will maintain the road for 2 years. That's the responsibility they have. And
So
that
you give
three
them two
Liberian
million
companies
for maintenance. That road is already fixed. You give them 2 million for maintenance. Two
who
million
just
over
you say,
2 million for maintenance.
no, you say already faced by whom? Already faced by whom?
Are you saying the road is not fixed? Because we can send somebody there. Are you saying the road are
Oh,
not fixed?
no, you say it was already fixed. That's why I
Roland,
asked the question by whom.
Roland, you made the road already fixed by the past government. So I'm saying to you, you gave them 2 million for maintenance. That's 2 million for maintenance. While other places
So you
need
so you
money.
have so you have three contractors in that corridor. That's supposed to not just the only thing I know happened on that corridor was that B Martin did some grilling of the road. They did some just shipping. And that is not doing road. That's not road maintenance is about. There's several places on that corridor now that they're laying covers. Even right in the Buchanan City, when you start to leave from there, go and see what road bus is doing. They are laying covers and building box covers and circular covers. And it costs money to do that. And it's for 2 years. $2 million is not much. The cost to maintain a gravel road is anywhere between 28 to 32,000 per kilometer for maintenance on a gravel road. That's what the average cost is. So if you factor that, the total kilometer, which is 115 kilometer, to the cost, you see exactly where it is. Don't just say 2 million in lump sum and think it's plenty of money. It's not plenty of money, bro. Because the average cost for maintenance of kilometer
Roland, two
is
million
28
for
to 32
2 million
kilometer.
for
That's where it
maintenance.
is.
Why
For a 100, yeah,
are there
but for a
street roads?
100,
Why
see,
not 2 million
listen, but for a
for
115 kilometer for 2 years. So divide that by the mile, 115 kilometer, divide 2 million by 150 kilometer. You see how much it is? If you anywhere around 18,000 per kilometer, and they're doing it for 2 years, and you say much. So I agree. If you do not have the understanding of where it is to do road works, then it's difficult for you to understand when you hear the amount you think is too much. It's not too much because the average cost for maintenance of gravel road is anywhere around 28 to 32,000 per kilometer, especially if you're doing covers works, you're doing drainage work, you're doing structural work, you're building bus covers. Sometimes you're even building a bridge if there's a water crossing point. It's anywhere around 28 to 32,000 per kilometers. So for 2 years, that's a plenty of money, Kev.
Okay.
And
Wow.
those are Liberian companies.
So just
It's
answer
not
this one
Chico.
thing before the other guys. In time of public works, what the president said, the president meet his 100 deliverable.
Significantly, yes.
Other guys coming. I
Okay.
disagree, but whatever.
Two guy coming. Two guy Alexander. Yeah, there. Two guy you muted.
You mute that.
Yes.
You got mute your
Yes.
phone.
Mr. Minister, how are you? And
How are
greetings
you?
to everybody. I am good. I am good. Mr. Minister, first of all, I want to find out from you. Uh, did the ex-minister leave you any turnover note?
Yes, she did because we worked with her during the transition, and she developed that. Yes, she did.
Great. In that turnover note, did you see anything around 400 kilometers of road? I mean, asphalt pavement that the CDC did from 2018 to 2023?
No.
What did you see then?
What we saw was anything. What okay? So what we saw was progress. Yes, 400 kilometer in progress, but in actual work for what we counted as done was anything around 298 kilometer in terms of work complete. But that report showed progress. They were engaged in work of that amount of kilometers, but it doesn't mean it was work done, paved, 100%, 400. No.
All right. First of all, I'm just confused that it would take 6 years of a government to be able to do like you are saying. They are claiming 400 kilometers. You are saying around almost 300 kilometers. But it took 6 years to do that. And you are taking 90 days to do 700 plus kilometers. How do you reconcile that?
But we are not paving now. It's not pavement now. Now, road maintenance is different from pavement. What they were talking about is paving the road, putting asphalt on the road, which is completely different. There's no way any government can pave road in 100 days or in 1 year. It's not possible. Nobody should tell you that. Okay. So what they were talking about is that over 6 years they were involved in this number of pavement, and I can just highlight
No,
some of
but
the roads that they talk about in terms of
with the
pavement.
level of speed that
So
you with
what
the
are
level
coming
of
up?
speed
Are
that you were
coming up?
talking about,
No.
with the level of speed that you're talking about
Yes.
in terms of even maintenance, you're talking about probably doing more than the CDC did within 6 years. That's what you're thinking. Because if you're able to
Where
just do
where
maintenance, if you are able to do
where
maintenance
we
of over 700 kilometers within 90 days, and a sitting government that were doing asphalt pavement could do around 300 to 400 kilometers within 6 years, you're talking about probably paving all of Liberia roads for you within 6 years. That's what you think
no
simply
no
implying.
you can say that. No, first you need to know that we have the total kilometers of road we have in our network since 2019 is 13,000 plus kilometers. Okay, so 700 kilometers not all the road network. It's maintenance work we are talking about. Okay, and it's not pavement. But the president did not say we've completed 700 plus kilometers. We are engaged in the corridors that sum up to that amount. And the intent is to make sure that corridor, which are our primary corridor, remain pliable. So that's what we're doing. And we've done some significant work in terms of upgrading it, still remain asphalt, a gravel road, but upgrading it so that it remain pliable. Now, this is what we say will happen. There's some of those corridors that by next year will progress to pavement. And that's from Tapeta to Zurich to Fishtown. We have 4 contractors in those corridors now, leading to asphalt pavement. But what we're doing now is to stabilize this corridor, make it pliable, so that people can move around freely, so that people don't leave from Ganta and get to Zurich, after 2, 3 days. So people don't leave from Zurich to go to Fishtown and have to take 2, 3 days. So people do not leave from Monrovia to go to Bopolu, to do Brove, and have to take 10, 11 hours. So people don't have to leave from Banga to go to Vonjama and take, 2, 3 days. That's all we're trying to do, stabilize the corridor, make sure they remain pliable. And that's why these contractors are required to stay in this corridor throughout, even during the rain. So when there is any hiccup, they will go there and do the stabilization. That's what we're doing. So it's not pavement. And we have not gotten to the point yet where we're measuring what has been done with CDC and this government. We're not focused on that. We're focused on just delivering for Liberian people. At the end of the day, they'll see the level of work. It's too early for you to start comparing. We're not yet to compare with what CDC did and what we're
But
doing. We just want to do the
yes.
work.
So
And I
let me
mean,
come to
that's
another
that's
thing.
our focus right now.
Yeah, let me ask another issue quickly. You also, like you said, you receive a turnover note. Can you tell the public how many pieces of equipment that you receive from the outgoing government? And there's a specific reason why I'm asking those questions. Because, I mean, giving your answer, I would think that the issue of maintenance, there are some corridors that should be done directly by the public works minister. It comes into play with you using over 22 million, to just do maintenance when the public works ministry could practically do most of these maintenance themselves given the level of equipment that were left for you. That's why I'm asking, how many equipment did the outgoing minister leave with the Ministry of Public Works? Because you're also saying to us that there are some outstanding equipment that were also paid for that are expected in the country as well. So how many did you receive, and why is it that the Public Works probably is not engaging with some of these maintenance themselves?
So let me say this: the ministry went ahead and bought 42 pieces of equipment. So we took over. We received 27 pieces. Like I said, you know about what I said earlier, that they're outstanding, almost, I think it should be what, 15 pieces that the company has to bring, and they can't, so we're sending it to the Justice Ministry because they can explain why they can bring it. Maybe something must have gone wrong that they can tell us, and they will talk that when they engage with the Ministry of Justice, because we feel the Ministry of Justice should take responsibility for that. And if it warrant prosecution, they should be prosecuted. When we took over, even between the corridor from Greenville to ITI, the Ministry of Public Works itself got involved in maintenance work there. You know how much they spent? Almost 3 million. That's what the record showed. Almost 3 million. And it was a section from Cester Junction to ITI. Ministry of Public Works employees themselves were there, and they spent 3 million. 2.8 million was spent by the ministry itself on fuel, on DSA, on materials according to them. And when we got there and assessed it, you could hardly see anything that was done. Besides that, the capacity is not ready to go ahead and do that. Over the years, the sector has been privatized. That is, we've outsourced most of the work to private companies. So that capacity is not there. Yes, we have equipment to do mingle work, and that's some of the work we're doing now. Currently, we are also engaged with communities around Monrovia. We tell them when you mobilize in your community, we'll come and help you. We bring the equipment and we help you. We've done that with many communities now. We're grading roads. We're helping them to at least ease the situation in their communities. But the ministry does not have that full capacity, and especially with the issue of people being honest and fair. And we just taken over the ministry with all kinds of changes that we have to make. We don't see it comfortable to put employees without the capacity required to be in that place to say they're going to do maintenance work. No, it's too big for them. And for the 100 days, we didn't want to get that kind of situation. So because of that, we continue to outsource that for now. Now, this is what we're doing. We're setting up maintenance zones. So very soon you'll see that across the country. And by the end of the year, hopefully, we'll start having some equipment coming. We're beginning to set up the zone by training people now. And every county we have a set of equipment. Some of the counties that are bigger, like for example, Lofa, Nima, Bum, they have 2 sets to deal with the secondary and feeder roads now, to focus on that while we're dealing with pavement or primary roads. That's what we will do. But we need some training. We need to get people in there, with the kind of capacity required before you do that. And that's what we're planning to do now. So we could not put that in the 100 days because it was going to be a disaster. I can say that. For the record that we saw, for what was spent right in the corridor between Cester to ITI, almost 3 million, and I didn't see the work that was done. We could not trust that. We want to do this. So we have the equipment, yes. We are doing some work in the city, around the city. We are also using the equipment in places where there's requests for us to do so for some of the communities. That's what we're doing now.
All right, let's go to Robert. Guys, we're going to restrict our questions to just 2 questions because of time. Let's go to Robert.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc. It's great to be back on. It's great to see you, Roland. Again, we met briefly in Liberia, where I was recently.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great seeing you as well. And thank you for availing yourself to interact and update the public on the work that you are doing at Ministry of Public Affairs. But let me ask you, Public Works. I'm sorry. Let me ask you this question. From all indications, I'm not sure if this number is accurate, but we've been told that the government have spent over $22 million on ensuring that these roads are roadworthy and drivable. Can you confirm that amount?
So the government has not spent the contracts for all the corridors that are named. That's over 740 something kilometer is about 22 million contract signed. over 2 years. Two of the corridors, 1 year each because of pavement. The rest of the corridor for 2 years. But the government have not spent 22 million. The government has disbursed $9 million to all the contractors. There are nine contractors, four foreign companies and five Liberian companies. So the government have disbursed 8.9 million to them for the first phase to do the work they're doing. The government has not spent 22 million as been speculated in the public. No. But yes, over the life of the project, which will go into the next fiscal year, 2 years maintenance in the different corridors, yes, the contract value signed is that amount, but the government has disbursed 8.9 million thus far to the contractors.
Thank you. And so here's my real question, and Dr. Peabody, I'll be very short, and then I have a last one. How do you can you and I'm gonna give you the opportunity just to help educate those who may not be in the seat, the seat that you occupy right now, the government that you work for. I understand that there was a campaign promise to ensure that no cars were stuck on any major roads, especially in rural Liberia, in the first 100 days. But there are some who have argued that the president's intent was not a bad one, but the investment just for what some might call as dusty road were not sustainable, considering the seasons that we have rainy season coming up, and even though that amount we just talked about includes maintenance. Many will argue that when the rainy season comes within 3 4 months, that will basically defeat the purpose. Let me ask you this: do you think that from your perspective and from a government perspective, do you think that, in as much as we want these roads to be fixed, do you think that the investment that we're making on just ensuring that these roads are drivable for now defeats the long-term goal here with regards to actually ensuring that we have the kind of roads that we need to have that connects the country from Monrovia and across all of the major connections? Do you think this is a smart investment?
Well, I think it is. It is a smart investment, and the reason why it is a smart investment is that, say, for example, like I said, you have we have almost 3,000 kilometers of primary roads, and out of that, we have just about 1,200 of the primary roads that's paved. So you have a deficit of almost 1,005 kilometers of primary roads. That means key corridors, and I can quickly name those corridors. So that means you're saying now, because from Monrovia to Ganta is paved, from Ganta to Tapeta to Saklepi Tapeta been paved, from Tapeta to Fishtown, okay, that's about 115 and that's about 230 kilometers. It's not paved. All right, from Peabody to Bagleyville, 75 kilometers, it's not paved. From Greenville to RTI is 96 kilometers, it's not paved. From RTI to Buchanan, 115 kilometers, it's not paved. From Salaye to Vonjama is 115 kilometers, not paved. From Vonjama to Foya is 63 kilometers, not paved. From Foya to Minikuma, 16 kilometers, not paved. From Broadville to Bopolu is 86 kilometers, not paved. So all these corridors are key primary corridors, but over the years, they've not been pliable. So during the rains, people cannot easily get to those major county capitals. So it's been a problem. The government has made a decision to invest in this corridor for now, especially the ones that are not being paved, but we can still have it pliable. Think about this. Before the war, I grew up in Maryland County. We used to come to Monrovia for vacation on dirt road. From Monrovia straight to Ganta was dirt road. And we came, even during the rains. We went back, the roads were pliable. We can still get to that level. And I believe this is what we're trying to do. And that is why the contract that we're given is a maintenance contract that will allow the contractor to remain in the corridor throughout. So even during the rains, they will be there to make sure if there are any spots that are developing as a result of the rain, they will go there and correct it. And the only reason is simple. As they do the reshaping, they do the compaction, they do the re-graveling, they do the waters. There are places where there will be some hitch in terms of how the water flow. So as they drive in this corridor and see that, they will have to open up channels for the water to leave the road. Because any road, even asphalt road that you paved, if you allow water to continue to sit on it over time, the road deteriorates. Because once there's pressure on that particular place where the water is sitting, the asphalt has little sip. You don't see it with your eyes, but there are sips that can allow, with pressure over time, water can go into the asphalt. That's why you can see these pop holes every now and then developing if water sit on it. So the drainage system must be done properly. Even with dirt road, if you do proper drainage system and you crown the road properly, the road gonna survive. So if we are able to maintain all these major corridors, it's okay for the country. And you put the 22 million together, is about, if you look at that, it was 745 kilometers, 43 kilometers. If you divide it by 22 million, it's anywhere around 27,000 per kilometer. That is the average cost for maintaining a gravel road. But because it's lumped together, so we could have said we're just choosing one corridor, 2 3 million. There won't be noise about this. But because we said, let's go ahead and make sure we deal with all the corridors so that everybody, everywhere to an extent, can have access to the county capital. Let's do that. And so this is what the project intends to do, to make sure the accessibility to all the county capitals. So it's a very good investment. Besides that, this investment, there are some corridors that by next year will start pavement, like I said, from Tapeta to Kanwiken. We have 4 contractors in our corridor paving it as of next year. So we needed to upgrade it. We can say we'll wait until next year, first quarter, and the road remains terrible as that, only because it's supposed to be paved. We felt we should make the investment. I don't think it's a buy investment. I think it's a right investment. What we need to do is, let's see how we go through that during the rain. Now, I take responsibility for that as the Minister of Public Works. If we stay, do not see that we've improved this corridor, even during the rain and after the rains. Let's see what the record shows. I think
Okay.
that's the challenge. And I'm up to it, okay, to make this kind of decision. I like these kind of challenges. And I stand by what we did. And I think the president also support that. It was a good investment.
Thank you. Because of time, I will. I mean, I respect your answers, and I like the fact that you are taking up these challenges and you will take responsibility. Look, you just spent in office for under 90 days, so I think it's fair to ask the tough questions, but also give you time to get the work done. Can you please? You're going in rural Liberia, and that's great, right? But I was in Liberia just last week, and the RIA project is long overdue. I think that the Unity Party and you specifically have had some criticism about the fact that it's been taking such a long time to get that project done and completed. It seems like the project is at a stall right now. That was my observation during my recent trip. Can you update us on the RIA project and just give us an estimate? When do you think that project should be fully completed?
So when we took over, we had to review the project. In fact, the project, uh, the completion date expired, so we're trying to extend it now, because there was not much work done when the project was conceived from the get-go, because the contractor initially did not have the experience to do the work, and that was even spoken about by the Minister of Public Works at the time. So they had to bring in a subcontractor, Channel River 7. They built the road from Hapa to Kalokan in the southeast. So they had experience for building asphalt road. So they came in, and I think they brought some sanity to the project from the airport side. So we reviewed the project. There were some abnormalities with the way the project was done. We've been trying to correct that. I think the consultants and the contractors are coming to terms. They've come to understand it's a new leadership in town, and we are not joking with them. We are serious about what we want to see happening. So we've addressed that. The issue of the financing of the project also, we had to correct that. There was some issue about guarantee being provided by the government. There was issue about them getting loan, which they were supposed to do to pre-fund the project from the African Exim Bank and also from ECOWAS Bank. We wanted to be clear on what kind of guarantee that the government provided. So there was some back and forth. We straightened that up now. They're beginning to move ahead. We should be finalizing the amendments to the contract. There were certain things they wanted to do that we said, no, you can't do that. In fact, the project should have stopped to the intersection when you get to the airport. And we said, no, It's 45 kilometers from the airport to Monrovia, to EW Junction. You have to reach to the airport. They were back and forth about that, and I said, no, we're not going to change the cost. It will remain as that. So we finally agreed the project will end at the airport because they wanted to start right at the intersection. And you know the intersection to the airport. That you go into Habel and to the airport. So we changed that. It's going to reach. We also brought in some issue that has to do overhead crosswalk. Fair is going to be like an express. There are major intersections that we have to allow people to cross. Like for example, at the SKD, at the EAW hospital, at the barracks, at the Marshall Junction, we felt those places we have to have overhead crosswalks, and we have to put that in. Of course, there were issues about the cost. We are still talking that to see what kind of changes can be made. But we think that the cost of the project is $160 million, and we've been trying to work with them to get the bill of quantity. The last administration did not have any bill of quantity for the project. The contractors are yet to bring that to us because with the bill of quantity, we'll be able to understand whether there are savings. We think there are savings in the project that we can, make some adjustment to improve on what the project will look like. They did not want to have median from the EAW junction. They wanted to put those barriers. I saw you saw the barriers when you go to the airport, those as the concrete barriers. They wanted to continue with that from EAW junction all the way to the airport. We said no. The project is divided into two phases. One is the urban and one is the rural road. So beyond the jog bridge, the bridge before you get to Tower Hill, that is considered as the rural, quote unquote, rural corridor of the project. And I said, look, the city is moving as far as the airport. So there's nothing we call rural. But we accepted that for now, and that they will do some medium where you're getting closer to the airport. So we have to change that design, and that brings in the median and all of that. So there have been some issue, but I can say that over the last 3 months, I think the project has gone faster than what it was earlier on. So we're getting there. The adjustment in the time, they're asking for 2-year extension, or want to do 3 years with a 1-year defect liability, because the government itself has to pay for the project. To date, we've paid them as a government 19 million, but they've secured up to 70 million for the project by the pre-financing of the project by them. I know the way the process was done. We're not very happy with the way the guarantee was provided for the loan that came directly to them, but we're trying to fix that. So they have to invest that amount. So 70 plus 19 is about 89 million. So we want to see to what extent that amount will cover the project in terms of actual physical works. After that, we do a kind of assessment to see where we are, but we are obligated to pay them. And I think now we're fixing the abnormalities. So the project is doing better. But I can say to you, the project will get ended. They are not very happy with the way we are proceeding, but they have no option but to accept the changes that we are suggesting. And I think it's making some good progress.
Okay, let's go to Alex. Let's again 2 questions. Because of time, just 2 questions. Alex, go ahead with your question.
Well, thank you, Mr. Minister, for coming on this interview to give the public information. I think you're a very brave man. All right, and I commend you for that. My question to you directly: do you think that you're qualified to be Minister of Public Works? And if so, why would you say that?
Oh, yes, I'm very qualified to be Minister of Public Works. The act that created the Ministry of Public Works did not say an engineer should be the minister. All right. Besides that, I've had 10 years experience working in the infrastructure sector. Okay. I have a degree in business administration with emphasis in management enterprise, master's. I have a first degree in management and economics. I've had experience working in the infrastructure sector. I came back to the country after studies. I worked with the LRDC secretariat that set up the IPRS and the PRS. In 2007, I headed the Business Social Service and Infrastructure pillar as the program assistant for that pillar. So all the infrastructure project, including energy. If you hear me speak about energy project, maybe you think I am an electrical engineer. If you hear me talk about the airports project, you would think I am somebody who knows about, airport infrastructure. But I work in the sector. So for the LRDC secretary, heading that portfolio, I also went to the economic management secretary for 1 year. Then after that, I went to the President Delivery Unit. That unit was set up to troubleshoot big infrastructure project. I had two portfolio. I was looking at all the Chinese projects you saw in Liberia, like the ministerial complex, the airport project. I was responsible for them. The University of Liberia, the MVDC project, and all the energy projects. So when I start to talk about energy, you would think I am an electrical
Okay,
engineer.
thank you.
So I was in the sector. Come, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. I was in the sector, and I work in the sector. Okay, working with others who were in charge of roads. So we all had different portfolio. So I learned about the road sector significantly. Then in 2014, I was appointed as deputy minister at the Ministry of Public Works. So I served there for 3 years as deputy minister, understanding the sector with all my experience in infrastructure, specifically road. It puts me in a better position to be the Minister of Public Works. And that's why I'm not boasting about who I am, but I understand the sector. I'm not an
Okay,
engineer by study, but I
yeah,
am an engineer by
I
apprenticeship,
get it.
like I said.
I I get it. And there was a reason I asked you that question. I read your profile, I watched your confirmation and all of that. Uh, my question to you, how much has Liberia spent from 2007 to current on roads and public works? Can you just give me a round number? I'm not asking you for the nitty gritty, but if you have to take I'm sure you're privy to that kind of information as a minister. How much have they spent over the last, what, 18 years on roads and development under the ministry budget?
Okay, so I won't be exact. Okay, but in especially the roads, we have done a little over $3 billion in investment in roads, and not just for pavement, but also for maintenance work. Okay, in feeder roads because we have our partners working with us, and secondary road. We've done anywhere around that amount. And
Okay.
that is why we are concerned about the money that we spend now to elevate what we do to that of asphalt and richer pavement now, so that we see our road for good.
And how much you expected to spend this year from the ministry budget?
So the ministry has something in the draft budget for about 31 million. That's what we had in there. I don't know whether that would be what the Senate and or the legislature overall will finally approve. That's what we have, and there are a lot of work we have to do. There are a lot of projects. That's why we are not getting involved besides the 100-day in new projects, because there are a lot of liabilities that we have, even on the funded, the donor funded projects. So I can give an example. For example, from Ganta to Cyclopia, right now that project has stopped because we owe 4.9 million to the contractor. That first section is paid for by the government of Liberia. The contractor has worked beyond what is required. We owe 4.9 million to them. And for that project to restart, we have to pay that amount. On the counterpart funding project between Tapeta to Zwerju, we also have about $3 or $4 million to pay. So there are a lot of money we have to pay on even the counterpart on the project that are funded by donor partners, because we have to also respond to counterpart funding, and also to a lot of the other projects that are ended. And my thing is not to come and do a lot of new projects this year, because there are a lot of projects left undone by the last government. And I'm not going to be like the minister who would do that like the last government. One of the things that they did, they abandoned some of the projects that we left. For example, the road from Barnesville Junction to the Keba to Disrail, they abandoned that project. They never ended that project. Today, that project affecting the Japan Freeway project. We want to make sure it ended. The contractor has done up to 80 something percent. We owe the contractor about 11 million, and over the last 6 years, they didn't pay them a dime because they said the project started by the last government. They even put another contractor on the project, which I felt was the wrong thing to do. I'm not going to do that. Whatever
Okay.
project that I review properly and we vet, we're going to make sure it get ended and we take it off the books so that we can start something new.
All right,
Okay,
Let's
Mr.
go
Minister.
to the
Well, I didn't ask my
we gotta
question.
we gotta go to the next person because of time. Will come back. I mean, we gotta do
Okay.
2 questions. Let's go to
Okay. All
Sylvester
right.
with 2 questions, because at least 2 questions, guys. Let's hold it to 2 questions, and then because of time, let's do that.
A wonderful good evening. A wonderful good evening to you, Mr. Minister. As the number one, a former panelist here on the closing argument, and my parliament brother from the 19th Street. Let me say good
Yes, sir,
evening
my
to
dear
you.
brother.
Yes. So I got some concern. I listened to. I was very interested in the interaction between you and Kev, and you didn't. You said it's 90% of the president's commitment about the no cow hitching the mud, basically. But when that news came up, first and foremost, I was one person that have traveled across the 15 political subdivision of the country, and I do understand that it was somehow politically tuned, that it was practically impossible to be successful into that process. But again, I listened to you trying to say it was 90% or 85% are successful in the rest of that. But I'm a bit interested in the process about most of our roles within the major communities in our cities. The past government, headed by President George Weah, did most of the connectivity basically from the. I live in Dixville. Basically, I live in the Dixville terrain. I got my house in the DV. I also got a property around the FDA side. The last time I even asked you, but my own interest is basically about those roles and the durability of most of the contract given to those contractors. For instance, I was witnessing the last time we had some rules, and for you as a minister of public work, because someone asked, I said, Minister Magid did ask the question about that. I can recall, and you emphasize on most of those things. When contracts are given to most of our contractors, are we interested in knowing how durable, and do we give them a lifespan of our rules? For instance, here in the U.S., most of the rules, when they are given to contractors, they give the first maybe 20 to 25 years. They will have to do the construction and carry on the maintenance process. But what I'm noticing, I know you have noticed that, Mr. Minister, that most of our roads, they will bust in no time. In less than 1 year, most of the pop holes on most of the roads. For instance, from Simon Michael Junction back to the two South hitting balance exit, most of the road boxing up already. For Nizo, during the time of Madam Salif, then you were Deputy Minister of Public Works. That contract was given to FSS. I think it's a Lebanese Liberian company or whatsoever. You know the rest of the story. Most of the road also bust up. My concern is, as Minister of Public Works, under your reign, what mechanism are we putting into place to ensure that the roads, taxpayer money will not just be spent, and then after a few months, most of the road will bust up, and it leading to a lot of death of peaceful citizens also, because sometimes when some of the cars speeding and bump into those pop holes, and the somersault leave off the road and cause some problem. That's one of the major issues I wanted to know about. And the last question got to do with the project in Lofa. The George Weah administration started the process from Vanguard all the way to Golu. There where the pavement is now, Golu. The last time I was in Monrovia, when I drove to Lofa in November, the road is stopping currently in Golu. What is the current plan of your administration in terms of taking the road from Golu? Because you said it's the maintenance process. In terms of pavement, you only spoke to us just now about maintaining the Lara road. But is there any plan to do alpha pavement on the Lofa road between Golu and that of the Manikama border?
Okay, so let me address the first one. The first one on the issue of the maintenance, on the issue of the condition of the asphalt road. You talk about the Simaka road. Sometimes we don't have the information. That sometimes like you say how you say it, and I mean I understand. So some of the roads, like Simaka road, there was supposed to be a second layer. When you put the binding course, you got a subgrade, you got the base course, then you of course you put in the aggregate and you prime it, and then you put you put the binding course which bind the base, and then you add your wearing course which finally cover the road. Uh, you have to complete that project. The wearing course is now on. So most times it's now on. If it's just one layer, you find the road deteriorates. It's possible that because it is just to bind the aggregates together after it has been after you prime it, then you bind it with the first layer of the asphalt. Then you put the wearing course, which is like the top, that now close and seal the road properly, so that you don't have what you have. So that has not happened. And as I spoke about the road from John Bonavent Junction to Keba, there's almost 1 kilometer. That's one layer. That layer has never been sealed with the final wiring course. So that whole thing is deteriorating because of that. And sometimes because, for example, like I said, I've come a Minister of Public Works. My intent is not to abandon the project that have not ended, because when you do that, then our money get wasted. Because if you say, oh, the project started by city government, I'm not going to finish it, then we'll go look for a new project to do, for example. I'm not finishing the project. It makes no sense. If you do that, then that project, because it's not completed 100%, sorry, it starts to deteriorate. And it is the government, it's the people money that is in that project. So our intent is to complete those projects to make sure they are sealed and finalized. And that could be also with the drainage system. So if the road is already paved and the drainage system is not completed 100%, water start to sit on it. Once water start to sit on the asphalt for a very long time with continuous pressure, you will find the road deteriorating. So if the road is not completed yet, we have to complete it. And that will entails also making sure the drainage systems are completed properly so that the water, when doing the rain season, water drains off the asphalt and don't stay on it. Our intent is to finish those projects. That's a macro project. If you go along there, you'll see all the drainage systems not done properly. Steers are all shooting up. We have to complete it. And because of that, rain come, the drainage system doesn't work, water sit on the road, it pops up. So sometimes it does not necessarily mean that the road was not properly done, but because of the administration of the road, in terms of how we proceeded with the contracting process, paying the contractor on time, and making sure that they get the work done to get the system working well. That can be some of the reasons why that is happening. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be a situation where some of the road will have some issue in terms of quality assurance. There will be, but our intent is to make sure we do that. So that's why before the asphalt is laid, as we proceed with my experience and understanding, we have the consultants or our personal owner engineer that we have to make sure the asphalt is at the temperature that's required. Because the asphalt is supposed to be at a certain temperature before you lay it. If you're doing a rigid pavement that is concrete road, there is something called the slump test. It has to take place and make sure the concrete is mixed properly before you apply it. So your project engineers on site or your owner's engineer or the consultants there will make sure it meets the kind of standard. It has to be at a certain temperature. If it's not at that temperature, you send it back to make sure it's at the temperature required before you lay the asphalt. We will make sure that happens. We're trying to put in place the mechanism to make sure. And one of the things that we've done, or we always done when we're even at the ministry, at deputy minister with Minister Mo, was to allow the engineers to work. You don't get interfere with the engineers' work. Okay, when they're on the field, give them the authority to work. If contractors call you on the field and complete the engineers, and you tell the engineer leave that job or leave from the site and allow them to do what he wants, then you undermine the authority. We don't undermine the authorities of the engineer. We allow them to have the authority required. And I think with that, it brings the kind of leadership that you're looking for, and it brings the kind of quality control. Because if the engineers on the site will be listened to by the contractors, then they're going to do the work required. But if you interfere with the work that they should do in terms of providing the kind of technical supervision required, then it becomes an issue. And we intend not to do that. On the Banga Salary Road project, that project stopped because we owe the contractor 11.8 million. And it's not because we owe, but the consortium, the R consortium we put together to fund the project, there's fatigue. I think the last government did not do a very good job in maintaining the consortium that we put together. So right now, the Kuwaitis and OFEC, they've suspended disbursement on the project. And the reason why they did is because the last government had not paid the loan requirement, the payment on two of the loans. So the way the project was designed, we have four donors in the consortium. We have Kuwait, OFEC, Saudi Arabia, and Badia. Okay, those are the four donors. So it's like it goes around. When it comes to you, you pay, I pay, you pay less. It comes around like that. So the government, the last government, was paying the loan on two of the funders, but stopped paying the loan, the repayment on two of the other funders, that OFEC and Kuwait. And because of that, the Kuwaitis suspended disbursement and OFEC did. So once they did, the other two donors said, well, we're not going to continue because they should have made disbursement. And that project has stopped. So we have to rewind that. And to do that, I spoke with the Kuwaitis, okay, at the Kuwait fund. They're willing to restructure the loan that was not paid, but we have to go to Kuwait and sit down with them. we can ask them to come to us. We have an issue. So for that project to get restarted, we have to go to Kuwait, sit down with the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Public Works and recommit and restructure the loan payment. Okay, and I think it was I don't want to say, but it was an irresponsible attitude of the last government not to have, kept the loan payment proper. That's why the project stopped. And it stopped because right now we owe the contractor 11.8 million, and the other two funders said they're not going to disperse. So the whole project has stopped because of that. It's only because we have not been current on paying the loan. And I think this is the problem. So the Kuwaiti fund is ready to work with us, but they asked us to go to Kuwait and sit down with them so we can restructure the loan and also talk to OFIC. Now, we have asked for extension on the other two funders, the Saudis and Badia, and they're getting a little, there's this donor fatigue in them. And because of that, they should have funded the project from Banga up to Vonjima. Now it seems like we may lost the kind of energy and enthusiasm that they had to fund it up to Vonjima and up to Konya Vonjima. So we have to reawaken that spirit with them. So that is why you see that project has stopped. The only way it will start until we go back to Kuwait, sit down with them, recommit ourselves, restructure the repayment of the loan, and they're willing to accept that, but we have to go and sit down with them to do that. And then they will start disbursement again, and then the project will get started. So we have to bring some sanity to the project. I think I don't want to be political. I don't want to be
Mr. Minister.
political,
Yeah,
but I think the last government has some
Mr.
misstep
Minister.
in servicing the loan.
Quickly, Mr. Minister. Yes, I'm looking. I'm
Yeah,
sure
one more
you
question,
go ahead and
Sylvester. We got a lot of
yeah,
people
quickly that are Peabody, just a few seconds quickly. I knew you're going there about this donor fatigue process. What I'm saying to you, what is our own plan as a government, the government of the Republic of Liberia? I agree that the Kuwaiti fund ran out. The other two donors will say, hey, there's this issue of donor fatigue and what have you. Do we, as a government, the people of Liberia, your government, and then plan to put some money personally generated by Liberian taxpayer money to do the road, the Lofa road? That's what I'm asking, because I got information that there's a serious donor fatigue. That I got information. I'm saying from our perspective, is there any plan to put money, our own money, in the process for the Lofa road? Because the president of the Republic of Liberia is currently from he prioritized this road. He said he's going to make sure to do this road. He said this to the Gisi people when the Gisi community honor him. He said he's going to do the road in 2 years. He's going to pave the road to the Severino and the common border. He said that. So is there any plan
Well,
from your government to do
I,
that?
well, I don't remember him saying he will pay if they were 2 years. But let me say this, like I said, it's not that the donors do not want to support the project. I'm just saying we have some misstep as a government. That is why they have stopped. So once we go and rewind that and go ahead and commit to restructure paying the loan, because it's a loan and the loan is our money. It is our money too. It's a loan, but it's our money. So once we do that, they'll be ready to continue. And we just need to instill some sanity with the project and say to them, look, we are committed to that, they will do that. But what's happening also, the African Development Bank is also committing to do the studies from Vonjima up to Minikoma. They have interest in that. And we're fast advancing that engagement with them. But we have to, get it working again, because it's not like they have refused, but because we have some misstep along the way as a government, I think we can salvage that. And there's room for that. They're willing for that. So we just go salvage that, the project will get restarted.
Thank you, Minister. You see, we got a lot of folks here, and I think you've done very well in answering our questions so far. I think you've done. But let me ask you. Then I'll go to Tomalin, and then Professor Kennedy, and then we'll go back to Kelepo and all of that. Let me ask you. You talk about all these projects. Some of the projects that have already stopped because either the government did not pay their share, or I don't know what went on. Are you convinced that some of these projects were authentic, or they were just done and no money was paid? I mean, we talk about also the Ministry of Public Works looking at the possibility of bringing toll to Liberia to raise funds and all of that. But in a nutshell, could you tell me? You got a turnover note. You saw some things, some irregularities, and everything that took place. Why didn't you guys come up to say these things so that Liberian people would know? Because now everything is coming to your government that you say you would do this. You are taking the responsibility. I think the only thing was important for Liberian people to know some of these things that were going on, or when you took over, or what happened, how some of these contracts were fraudulently awarded, and all of that. The only thing was important for Liberian people to know.
So again, we are still reviewing some of the contracts. Is there's no evidence yet about contract fraudulently being awarded. Some of the contract we're reviewing, they have the PPCC no objection, signed by the Minister of Justice, Finance, and Public Works. So once that is done, it shows that it was legitimate. But we have some contracts that were signed legitimately, funding disbursed to the contractors, but did not work. And those are the contracts that we highlighted. I had a mega press briefing since I took over, and we spoke about some of the things and the state of the Ministry of Public Works. Again, when I took over, I didn't want to, because next the 12th of the 12th, which will be sometime what? I think the 12th should be on a Sunday or so. Will make me 3 months. So my focus was we needed to, get our feet wet, get on the ground, organize what's happening there, get some work done before we engage. And I engaged the public before I left to go to the spring meeting. So again, I'm here doing it. The public is aware of some of the things that have happened. We're not saying that everything fell apart, but the public was informed about some of the things that happened. And that's what I'm saying to you now, that we have two contractors already that we certify to send to the Ministry of Justice, for the Ministry of Justice to review what they've done. And if the Ministry of Justice speak with them and cannot get from them what is required, then that may require prosecution. And for now, of course, they are blacklisted. Once we send you to Ministry of Justice, that means you can have nothing to do with the Ministry of Public Works in terms of contracting anymore for now. And I will hope that the Ministry of Justice can see that as something they want to take care of. We cannot go ahead and do, of course, the Ministry of Justice, the prosecutorial arm of the government. So we have to forward that to them, and they will see what they can do to get the companies to comply in terms of living up to the commitment and not taking the government money and keeping it without doing any job.
In the last 90 days, have you awarded any contract, and who did you award those contracts to? And then Tomalin will take
Yeah,
over.
so of course the 100 days contract was awarded to 9 different companies. We did that through the actual process. We did a special procurement plan to the PPCC. We got the PPCC no objection with the support of the Ministry of Finance that provided the commitment letter through the draft budget and part of the 112 that was made available. So yes, we did that with 9 companies. 5 of those companies are Liberian companies. 4, of course, no, 6 Liberian companies, and 3 are, of course, foreign companies. And of course, these companies, some of the companies were in the corridor. So, for example, in the corridor, Paduke Banga to Salayet, that he was talking about the project, we had Chico there that was already working. We thought it made sense to work with those companies with the capacity. Now, why the work is happening in the corridor between Tapeta and Regius, because of Chico. This is the company with the capacity. And right now, if you go and see the kind of work that they're doing, it tells you that the decision that we took to have them. So it was a mixture with Liberian companies and foreign companies. Yes, we awarded a contract to 9 companies since we took over. And those companies are the one now dealing with the 100 days and making sure the roads continue to remain pliable.
Mr. Minister, back to Peabody's question, for the benefit of the Liberian public, because since the issue about the 22 million that was awarded, people, I know many people have not gotten real understanding about how it came about and how the process went, especially when we talk about single sourcing. Many people they're not aware about that too, apparently. But explain to Liberian people, because people are saying that PPC had no part of, PPC had no part of playing it, so forth. I know I saw some document from PPC too, but I want you to explain to Liberian people how the whole $2 million were breaking down and how it was awarded to the contractors.
So I don't have off my head the figures for the contracts. I can send that to you. I think I shared that with with Ben and others. But look, so we went through a process, and like I said, if you look at all the corridors, we did not want to leave any county capital out. So we wanted to make sure there's accessibility to all the county capitals. Even if there's no paved road there, we'll make sure we have the road that is dirt road, but pliable and able to allow people to move freely. So we consider all those corridors, and it's a little over 740 something kilometer, almost 50 kilometers of roads. If you put all the kilometers together in the different corridors, and I think I named the corridors early, I can go back and say that. Salaye to Vonjima, Vonjima to Foya, Foya to Minikoma, Tapeta to Zoreju, Zoreju to Kanwike, Plibo to Barclayville, Buchanan to ITI, ITI to Greenville, Broadville to Bopolu. So if you put the figures together in terms of a kilometer, it's anywhere a little over 700 plus kilometer roads. Okay, but you know it sounds big when you say 22 million. Because if you divide the 22 million by 740 something kilometer, it's anywhere around 27,000 per kilometer. The average cost for maintaining NM gravel road per kilometer is anywhere between 28,000 to 32,000 per kilometer. That's what the average cost is. But if you put all together, it's a 22 million. It sounds so much like, oh, there's a lot of money that have been under the contract. So we have contractors that were tipped to be in these corridors, especially the contractors that were ranked with the capacity. Our team went in the corridor and did complete assessment of all the corridors and came back and brought the figures. And then we had the contractors that we earmarked because what we said was that if you go through a competitive bidding process, it takes you a month plus. Then we're not even doing it. Then better we wait for the budget to finally get done and all the processes are done. So we say honor the special procurement plan and using the fact that the Ministry of Finance will provide funding for us under the 112. We just said that amount will be in the draft budget. We should proceed with that and procure the companies. We went to PPCC and provided a justification for single source. Single source is a part of the law. But you know what? I understand how people think. And I don't blame when people think the way they think. You know, overall, the country is inherently corrupt. Nobody has gone to jail for corruption in this country. There's no time you spoke about corruption and said there's somebody in jail for corruption. But people go to jail for so many other things. People who steal little things, they go to jail. People who kill go to jail. But people who get to government and it's proven that they acquire so much wealth that they cannot explain how they acquired it. And sometimes there are evidence of people who get involved in corruption, they never go to jail. So you don't expect the public not to think that everybody corrupt. The moment you come to government, you're supposed to be a rogue. The moment you come to government, Dr. Peabody, you are there today, you're not in government. The moment they name you, you are rogue already. You know, that's it. I don't blame the public for thinking the way they think. You know, it's okay because the public is right. We have not taken on corruption in the way we should take on corruption. So because of that, there's this broad perception about people being rogues and they steal, all those who come to government. But there are still good people who work for government. There are still good people who work for government. There are still people with character who are concerned about what people think about them and when they have the opportunity to serve. I had the opportunity to serve as Deputy Minister for the Administration of Public Works for 3 years. And the Ministry of Public was audited after we left. And people know, those who have worked with them know what I stand for. And if I did not serve well, I won't be seen today as somebody that could be trusted to be Minister of Public Works. I'm not a perfect person, but I think I've tried to uphold some good character. My thing is, with that amount, yes, there's something that went wrong. It's not difficult for a contract of that amount to be finalized and nobody get bribes. So I accept that. But you know what? We provide the leadership required. When we met the contractors, I was very clear with them to say, look, this is a new day. It's not like before. There's not going to be no negotiation with contractors to say this contract you are what we're willing to you gotta give me the amount. No contractor will tell you that they were negotiated in that way. They can't say that. But the intent is to change the situation. And with all my ministers and deputy ministers, we put that in place. We start down with the contractor, and I was very clear on that. So yes, on the amount, we went through the process. We got the PPCC, no objection. We got the Ministry of Finance to provide the funding source. The contract were awarded, signed by the Minister of Justice, signed by me, signed by the Minister of Finance. And I can say to you, the delivery of the contract in terms of the outcome will show you how transparent and accountable we want to be in terms of performance.
So yeah, just go to Professor Kennedy. So let me say, so there's no.
Can I interfere on this?
Yeah, come in. But let me finish now.
Can we tell the minister to keep his response short so we can have more time?
I come in.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah, okay. But let me say, so the contractors, and there's nobody in government, nobody connected with these contractors that were involved, like to say they got share with these companies or so forth. Because that's why in the air, people are saying the person got connection with the company, so the guy shares in his stuff and so forth. So nobody, whether the past government, the present government, whatever the case, in the legislature, anybody, are they connected with these contractors? Any connection? Just
Well,
quickly.
well, I have no information about that. Okay, I
Okay.
have absolutely no information about that, and that's something I even want to talk about. I have no information that there's anybody connected to
Okay.
those contractors. Yeah, I don't. Again, it's the perception now. So yes.
Okay. Next person. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Mr. Minister, thank you for being here. So to Mr. Gongo's point, we're going to try to keep it short and sweet. If you have the information, great. If you don't have it, we can just move right on. Great presentation you've done so far. Quick question for you. Based on the 31 million that you have in the budget, or the 20-something million that's going to be spent in these projects, can you tell us how many jobs you expect to create, considering you said it's going to impact pretty much most of the major counties? How many jobs you expect to create as a result of these projects?
So I can't say the figure up front, but if you have a contract and within this budget year, we will spend anywhere around 10 million of what was contracted. The contractors will work in these corridors. They, of course, will buy supplies from local companies that will be used for them to continue to do the work they're doing. I won't be able to say specifically how much job will be created, but what I would say, this amount is going to be allocated and disbursed to the contractors. And I'm sure a lot of that will be spent there because they need materials to do the work.
So is there a feasibility study done to know the impact of these projects?
Well, the only thing we do, we don't do feasibility studies for maintenance work. We do feasibility studies for a full asphalt pavement because it's a major investment being done. This is just a road maintenance of gravel road. We do cost estimate for what the maintenance will cost. But we know that at the end of the day, if we disburse money to the contractor, it could filter down into the different communities in where they're working. But we don't do feasibility studies for maintenance work, especially gravel road.
The
We
reason
don't
I'm
do.
asking, the reason I'm asking is to make sure that we don't have a white elephant project, right? Construction project that says it's going to produce, it's going to do this, putting money into a road project or to a maintenance project that's not going to produce anything of value to the people. So we want to put money into stuff that will create jobs, right? Because I think job creation in the rural parts of Liberia is one of the most important things. So we don't have the numbers in terms of how many jobs it's going to create. We don't have the numbers in terms of the economic impact of the money we're going to put into this. So we could end up just putting money into a project that's going to have absolutely no value to the people whatsoever. Is that a correct statement?
No, it's not correct. And the reason why it's not correct, for example, the corridor from Buchanan to RTI, you have three construction companies there maintaining the road. They're going to create jobs. They're going to hire a lot of people. They're going to
We
hire a
don't know
lot
how
of
many jobs they're going to create.
laborers
We don't
to
know how many
work.
jobs they're going to create.
Yeah, I don't know. This I'm saying I don't have the number. I don't work with the company to know how much person they will hire, because they know the level of work they will do. They've been contracted to do a particular work. So they
Yeah, I
will
mean,
say, look,
spending over $1 million to
can I,
create
can I, can I, can I,
it's not
can
of
I,
value.
can I? They will say, for example, for this work, we need to hire 200 person. They will say that, or they will say 100, we're going to hire 50 person. But what I do know is that they will hire people. There will be casual laborers that work on these construction work. And right now, if you go in the corridor, you will see them with several casual laborers that have been hired to work on the project. Yes, job will be created. I don't want to sit here and just call a figure off my head because I should. No, but jobs are being created as a result of the projects.
You muted. We can hear you, Professor Kennedy. Larry, we're not hearing you.
Sorry, real quick, last one. So a feasibility study is just an assessment, right? You're running an assessment, whether it's maintenance, whatever you want to call it. Feasibility studies is just an assessment to say, okay, we're not doing a white elephant project over here. By doing this road and not that road, we can see the return on the amount of money we're putting in there, the return on investment. That's what a feasibility study would do. It will let you know that, oh, you know something? Even though this road, we know it's a major artery, but it doesn't, the amount of money we put into it, we're not going to get it out because it's not going to create the jobs. That was the only reason why I was asking that. But, we don't have one, that's fine. We don't know the number of jobs it's going to create. That's also fine. I think at the end of the day, we do agree that we're going to end up in a situation where we end up spending millions and millions of dollars, but we don't see anything or true value coming out of it, right? Final question. Do you know the level of economic impact in terms of GDP growth that the road construction will have to the economy?
Well, I don't know that for sure. I can say that, but look, a major benefit for us if the roads remain pliable. The first thing they're going to do is to reduce travel time, and that's what's happening now. There are people that are living from Zreju now to Ganta and taking 3 hours. Okay, before they could take almost a day or two just between Ganta and Zreju. So of course that reduced travel time. That
Right.
also we of course reduce the maintenance work on people's vehicles now that will get stuck in the mud and you have to do major repairs when you get to those cities. These are some of the benefits that you get. I won't know exactly in terms of GDP,
No, but
estimate as to what
Mr.
impact it
Minister,
is going to have on the economy. I wouldn't know that, but I'm just saying there will be benefits, and I think I listed some of the benefits. Jobs will be created. I don't have the number. Okay,
okay, Mr.
there will be
Minister,
some
if we
economic benefit
cannot
that be created, but
quantify,
I don't have the numbers.
Mr. Minister, if we cannot quantify the benefits, it end up being we're putting money into something. For example, putting $1 million into a feeder road that creates no economic benefit is a waste of money. It's called a white elephant project. It's a
But when you
feeder.
say it creates, you want numbers, okay? But if you say it creates no economic benefit, I disagree with you that. You just want numbers, and because you're not getting the numbers, so you think it's not creating economic benefit. I'm saying to you, jobs will be created. And so the point is, if you're doing a road maintenance, if a company is doing a road maintenance, the company has to hire people to work. There's no way you can do road maintenance without hiring people. My point is,
But
we
you're
don't
not
have
looking
the
at people
numbers
you're
as
gonna
to
hire.
how many jobs will be created, but it doesn't
Right.
mean there won't be economic benefit. I mean, not having a number doesn't mean there won't be benefits
All right,
economically.
let me just close on this. Thanks so much for taking the time to answer my question. I'm going to close on this, right? We've seen, I think, the question that Choo Choo asked early on.
That's why I was asking the question.
Right. So
He
Choo
didn't get it.
asked two important questions, right? Because your background was in economics. That's why I asked these questions in terms of using the Keynesian model, John Maynard Keynes in terms of economic growth, because your background is in economics. But Choo Choo also mentioned that we've spent over $3 billion. You told Choo Choo when he asked that question that over the years, Liberia has spent $3 billion on roads. Look at the GDP per capita in Liberia. It's still far less than countries that have spent way less than that. What's the purpose of I know you're saying it's going to create jobs. Fantastic. How many jobs? We don't know, right? But if you're going to spend billions and billions, you're borrowing money. Our debt is over $2 billion. We can't afford to make these debt repayments. If we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, not to repeat what some other people have said, it seems kind of ludicrous, right? Shouldn't we run some numbers and say, well, you know something? This road over to Banga, this is the number of jobs we're going to create, because we know over 70% of the population is in the rural parts of Liberia. The poor people, they're not in Monrovia. They're out in the villages. So we're going to say, hey, these guys are going to hire these people. But it sounds like we're doing contracts, we're doing all these things there, and we're not talking about the economic benefit to the poor people in the rural village. $3 billion, and we still poor like that. It tells us we're doing something wrong. So I thought, with your background you mentioned, we're going to get into some numbers discussions, but you don't have the numbers on the job creation. We don't know the level of economic growth. We don't know a lot of these things. So I was just going to table my question. And then maybe the next time when you do have some of those numbers, you come back, we can discuss it. But I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. So I'll swing it back to Chief Tomalin.
Yeah, can I go?
Yes. So thank you. I'm happy to see you again, Mr. Minister. But I'm also sorry that I'm joining the show late. I had a doctor appointment, and I had to go pick up my daughter from school. So I was driving on the show and went back and forth. But I'm going to begin my questioning this way. First, I will start with question. We'll try to clear some things that have been around. So I'll begin with East International. I know when you are Apollo Works Ministry, East International did sign an agreement with the governor of Liberia. Can you speak a little bit about that? What was that agreement, and what was it intended to do?
So East International competitively won a contract, and the intent of that contract was to do rigid pavement in the different communities. That is, there were 50 kilometers set aside to be paved within the Monrovia and its environment. So we're looking for a company that will pre-finance, that is, find the resources, invest in the corridor, and then get repaid after investment. So if East found the money and did 10% work, after 10% work, certified by the ministry, they get paid. It was a pre-financing agreement that was signed, and of course, it was even legislated for them to do so.
Do you know? Can you say for the public the value of that contract, of that agreement?
So the contract was anywhere around 79 million, and that was also the inclusion of Gillijua, Clay to Gillijua corridor. That's in the Bomi County, about 24 kilometers, and then 50 kilometers within Monrovia and its environment.
Actually, 51,
Pre-financing.
51 kilometers. I'm looking at the agreement. So,
So that's
so,
about that.
so, Mr. Minister, can you say, since you are back at the ministry, did the agreement work? Did East International live up to it?
Well, I think the agreement was reordered by the last government. Is this some, and I'm reviewing some of the rules that they did, rigid pavement. But the government went and reordered the project and took out some of the rules and brought in RIA. And I had a problem with that because that project was specifically for rigid pavement. It was not for asphalt project. And so you could not go and reorder the project from the legislature and put in RIA. And that's why the RIA project is a little complicated and is giving us trouble as a country. But we're trying to fix that because the way it was done was wrong. Instead of doing an RIA project, is like 45 kilometers. So if they're doing both sides, it's 90 kilometers because they're doing dual lane, which is even more than what the rigid pavement should
Yeah,
be.
yeah. So,
And I think it was not right to do that. So it created some problem. They did few corridors. I think they did the I think there's the VOA or the Banjo Road and one or two other roads that were rigid pavement, and they focus only on the RI road. So they
yeah,
didn't allow the
yeah,
project
yeah.
to germinate. They went and reorder it, and that's what they did. So that's what we met. So we
So,
are trying to work with what we met.
Mr. Minister, thank you. I encourage, let's keep our answers short because I got a few questions
Uh,
to go back and forth, so other folks can ask questions. But can you say for the record that East International engagement with the government of Liberia actually started with the Unity Party government, not the CDC government?
but there's no argument to that.
And
Nobody arguing that. Of course, yes.
I just want to have that record. So my second question, the 100 days delivery of the president, do you consider that an emergency situation?
So let me say, for it to have gotten started, yes, we consider it as that. Based on the weather condition and that we had to get into the range, yes, we consider it as that.
So how do you define emergency, both under the law and in practical?
So we saw that as emergency because the
You said
process to get through an entire procurement and getting to start that project, getting contractors together, will have taken almost 2 months. So we felt to get the president announcement, which was a public policy statement, into fold, we needed to proceed faster. And we used the law and did that.
so which part of the law? Can we be specific on that? Because I'm looking at the Public Procurement Act here, the revised
The
edition.
procurement law, the procurement law.
Which section is specific?
I won't say specifically which session, but we use the single source aspect for contracting,
Okay, so
which is in the procurement.
let's go to the law. The law, there is no single soul actually. I know we use the synonym of soul. The law say soul souls. That's what the law says.
Yeah, but it's the same as single source.
Well, if you want to quote the law verbatim, then let's be exact. It says soul
It's the
souls.
same as single source, it's just words.
Well, that's what the law says. So, but there are conditions to soul souls, right? So
Of course.
when I read all these conditions, and what you did, Mr. Minister, by giving $22 million in contracts, using that, none of the conditions listed here will meet that. We can read, and I can share this in the chat room. Let somebody be on the screen. Let's all of us read. There are about 4 conditions. You didn't meet any of those 4 conditions.
Well, that's what you think. But the PPCC, that is the entity responsible for looking at the condition that we submitted, accepted that we met those conditions. So maybe PPCC will be able to answer the question that you're trying to pose, because they're responsible to answer and justify as to whether what we requested and the justification we provided met the requirement. They did.
Well,
So once they issue us the no objection, that means PPCC felt it was doable. So I don't know. I don't
Mr.
implement. I don't go ahead and oversee the law. We work with PPCC and we submitted the justification to them, and they found it justifiable to give us the no objection.
Okay, so Mr. Minister, here is the argument. You read the law, you look at the procedure, you say there is a probable cause for you to take advantage of the law, so you're going to go apply for it. So
Yeah.
first, you're convinced that you have that privilege under the law. And I'm arguing with you, these conditions don't give you the privilege. So you went to them and say, the president has this 100-day delivery and that's emergency. And it doesn't meet that condition. So in the context, in the climate of removing 10 people from that position, the PDC executive director is in a 10 position, and he was not appointed by President Barker. So one can even arguably conclude that he was working under the climate of
Well, so you read into something else, and then
no, no,
since you read into that, then wait for the PPCC boss to come, and you can say that to him. But you can read into that. No, and I would disagree. I mean, you can read into that. You can say that is it professionally. You can say that is the reason for which he gave no objection. Then you read into something wrong, and I think it's not the right. It's not the right thing to do. You can read into that.
But Mr. Minister,
Oh, we got to go on, guys. Time. We got
Yeah,
to go
you
to the
can read
next.
into
Yeah,
that.
yeah, sure.
You can read
Gotta
into
go,
that
guys.
that because he had a telejob and he wanted this, that's why he gave no objection. No. So call him and ask him. He will give you the justification for why he signed and gave the
Yeah,
no
we got
objection.
to
So
go
I
on
don't
now.
think you've been
Check
fair
up.
to him.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
I don't think
Mr.
you've been fair to him.
Yeah, Peabody, and I will pass on this, but let me just say this. Mr. Minister, the act that you engage in, using the PPCC Act to go to PPCC for no objection on so, for me, that was a classic definition of corruption. That's what you did. Because you knew
Well,
the law
okay.
was in your favor,
Oh, okay.
was
So
use
again,
authority to
again,
acquiesce.
you're entitled to your opinion, and I respect your opinion. Okay,
But let's read
but
it.
the
Let's read it.
PPCC, which is responsible for that,
I'm going to
we
drop this.
provided the justification for
I'll
why
drop
we
this.
wanted single source, and that
Let's
some
read
of the
what the
contractors
law is
were
there.
already in the corridor. So we did. So it's your judgment, yes. So you can. It's your opinion. So you're entitled to it, and we respect that.
Opinion
Okay,
based
We
on the
respect
we
your
got to go
opinion.
on.
Yeah, we
We're pressed
respect
for
your
time. We got
opinion.
to do.
let me
All right,
Let's
Yeah.
go.
We respect your
let
opinion.
Go
move
ahead.
on.
Jeff, go ahead.
yeah, let me
We
come in.
respect your opinion.
Mr. Minister, and I think when it comes to East International, you need to explain the whole story about the past government actual change to do the RIA road. You and I know that you had a contract with East International to fix the secondary road, what over 100 million, and the RIA road was a debt trap. We all know that. The main road from our international airport to come to the city was completely a death trap. So with the wisdom of the last government, decide to say, okay, why are we going to use this money for this maintenance of road? Because I think the Unity Party always gave money for maintenance of roads and all that. You see with bus today, they'll fix it today, the next day you don't see it again. So with the wisdom of the last government, they said, look, let's fix our highway, the Ralphie Road. So instead of looking for different money to add the burden, so they took that, and you know that, and Mr. Minister, and decide to just, redo the contract, through the legislature, and then to fix the RRA road. And now I heard you were taking claim, making taking credit. I mean, for the road is going on smoothly and all that. But when I was in Liberia, I saw work were going on. When I was in Liberia year before last, I saw work going on. Matter of fact, there's a lot of video, out there that so my game. But let me give you credit for this because there's a lot of stuff out there that people saying, or member of the past government, especially Senator McGill, do have connection with East International, do share with East International. But thank you for making it clear. Peabody asks you if anybody have contract, you say no, not to your knowledge.
I don't know about that. I'm not here to come equip people when I don't know about that.
Thank you for making that clear, because a lot of people that misinformation out there, and that is wrong, misinformation, because East International came under Ellen you were administrator. So, but let me say that. So I just wanted to correct that. The reason that the Rafi Highway, because you guys were putting money into the same way you're doing now, maintenance, and the last government said no, let's fix our highway. So they took that and put that on the highway. But let me say this to you, Chico, SSF, West African and Construction, robust group of company. You guys went against most of the companies that were and under the last government. You're attacking. But why now? Why you're using the same company that you attack, and call them a criminal company? You give them all the names in the book, but you turn around using the same company that you attack. Why? You're using the same company. Can you just explain to the people? Can you explain to the people that you guys?
I don't understand what you say. I don't understand what you said. The same company you attack. Nobody attack company.
Oh, well,
I don't remember attacking any company.
It's investor.
What we're doing? No, 1 minute, please. No,
you guys.
You ask me a question. You ask me a question. Can I respond to the question?
Because we can put us
you have sufficient time to talk. You have sufficient time to talk.
Criminal. You call all of them criminal.
Can I respond? There's no recording. There's no recording you will bring about attacking companies like that. I raised issue about the East International contract. Cafe was wrong. I felt the way the contract was worded wasn't right. And I was blaming the government to be responsible for that.
Mr. Minister,
I was not calling the company's name. The point I'm making is you say Chico, Seco were attacking them. No, these companies were not attacked. And let me say this. The behavior of the companies depends on the leadership that you have. The way you deal with the companies speak to that. These are companies with the capacity. These are companies that have been working in the sector. If you're looking for a company with the capacity, those are the companies that you have. You have Liberian company with capacity, but for bigger capacity to do the kind of work you need, those who have asphalt capacity to pave, rigid pavement, all of that, you got some Liberian companies now at that level, but those are the companies. And that's why they win most of the international contracts. All right? So nobody has come and attacked companies. What we were speaking about was about the government. Now, I came on this show and tried to not be political, but like Kev, you want me to go be political? I won't be that. I try to be the Minister of Public Works for everybody. Don't push me on that line. We did not attack companies. We're just talking about the way the government will proceed on certain things. And you have the right to question us. My brother Bono that said, as far as you know, what we did is corruption and all of that. And he said that, okay, it's okay. We also accuse the last government of doing certain things. But is that when you do it and you bring the evidence to show that this is where it is? So we didn't attack companies. These companies are companies that have worked. And when we rank companies at the Ministry of Public Works, these are the companies that are in the tiers. okay, that have done work. We have other companies in those corridors, but some of the companies had issue for performance. In fact, there are contracts that we're reviewing now in terms of their performance. We had to terminate several contracts
Roland,
because they didn't perform
Mr.
well.
Minister,
Okay,
Mr.
so
Minister,
it's not
Mr.
the
Minister,
issue of attacking
Mr.
companies.
Minister, are they
I don't
seeking,
think you're right to
so
say
Mr.
that.
Minister,
We,
Mr.
of
Minister,
course, question the
are they,
government proceeded, not attacking
yeah,
companies like you're saying.
yeah,
I don't remember doing that.
Minister, this company,
let me
the
just
company, wait, Calebo, please, I beg you, my brother. You hire your
But you
time.
already said a thing about corruption. Why you gonna clarify
Yeah,
again, my man?
Calebo, Calebo, please, wait. Minister,
But you was
Minister, are they
But
company
wait,
were
time.
performing under the last government? This company, were
Say,
they performing
say,
under the last?
say that.
The company you're using, were they performing under the last government?
Oh yes, the company we're using, yes.
So they were
Yes,
performing under the last government.
some of the companies, they not even have the ability to move forward. You know that we inherited a lot of debt from some of the companies with the last government that they owe them.
Forget about
Yeah.
but they were performing in the last government, right? So they were performing. They were not a criminal company. They were performing, right?
But who called them criminal company? I don't remember calling them criminal
Your
company.
party did. Your party did.
Who?
Your party
Who?
called them. Your party.
No,
Your
my party never did.
call them.
Kev,
Yes,
don't
your
try
party
to be
did.
political
Your
here
party
tonight.
did.
My
Your
party
party
never
did.
called any
Your
company
party did.
criminal company.
But let me,
Mr.
We
Minister,
your
criticize the
party did.
government on the government
Your party did.
actions.
Let's say you coming
On the
after me.
government
Your
actions. We
party
can't
did.
blame the companies. We blame the government because the government the one that look.
So
If
your
any
party
company has to
attacked those
perform,
companies. So,
if any company
Mr.
has to
Minister,
perform, it
your
is the government.
party
If the
attacked
company
them.
will perform
Give the
terribly,
minister a
it
chance
is
to
the
answer the
government.
question. Then you
Mr.
comment.
Minister,
That's what it is.
your party attacked the same company you're using
Hey, my
now.
man, lead the party thing
Your
here.
party,
I
your
carry
party
to them for
attacked them.
your
But lastly,
CDT and Unity Party
but
thing.
lastly, let
I
me
didn't carry
ask
to
you if
them
you're
for
aware
your
of this.
CDT and Unity Party
Let
thing.
me,
I came here to
Roland,
them for a
let me
professional
ask
piece
you
of
if you're
job.
aware.
So let's keep it at that. Keep
Roland,
that your CDT on the other side. We reach
Roland,
that yet.
do you know,
Don't worry, the politics
Roland,
will come.
do you know, are you aware that a certain member of the Senate and there's an investigation on you, a certain member of Senate that they will be calling you, Bresonga, Dillon, Simon Freeman, and other will be calling you. Are you aware of that in the Senate?
Who's-
Are you
No,
aware that
let me say
you will be
this.
called for? You will
No,
be
let me
called
say this.
for
Let me
you will
say
be
this.
called for
When I'm
If you
investigation
called
have
to
a
the
on
Senate,
if you
response.
answer
since
now,
I
if you don't have
became yeah, wait now, my man. My man, Dana CDC and Unity Party tonight. I came here for different reason, man. I beg you. Let's be alone to do. Okay? And you know I want to go outside with you. You won't start acting there. So please give me a chance.
You
Now
understood.
let me say this. Let me say this. I've been called 19 times to the legislature. Okay?
wow.
Of course, less time by the Senate, but 19 times by the legislature since I became Minister of Public Works. 19
So
times to different committees, over and over. I'm
wow.
telling you, I have 19 letters. I've gone and I appear to every committee on
So
the
you're
issues they
aware
want
that
to know.
you're aware
So
that
listen
you
now,
and
Chief,
Bresonga
we're
and
small.
them
This small.
you are under investigation.
When I receive the information from the Senate to appear, I will appear. If I receive the information from the House of Representatives to appear to a committee or to the plenary, I am a public official. They have the right to call me, and I will
Yeah, I
appear.
understand that, but are you
Let me,
aware
can
I
that
don't
I
know
think
about
that
that.
you say that you will be called by the
Chief,
state?
I'm saying when I'm a call, I will appear. That's what I'm saying. So
can I ask
why
my
you
other
stay
question?
Can I
asking me?
come in now?
So
Can I
the
come in
guy
now?
with
Oh, Professor
guy,
Amatamo,
Yeah,
I
can I
appreciate
come
guy,
that,
in now?
Amatamo.
Thank you, man.
guy,
Thank
we
you,
went
Kev.
against
Go
time.
ahead, Robert.
The
Go ahead.
We
people,
went
the people,
against
Thank you,
time.
boss. Thank you, boss.
We're just gonna. I think right now because
yes,
of time,
please.
we're restricted to one question
Yeah,
each.
you
Yeah.
got in your bro. Let me ask a
But let me
question.
say,
One
Roland,
question
But
nice
each.
Yes,
talking
can
to
I
you.
come in now, please? Can I
I'll
come in,
I'll
please?
be out. Nice talking to you,
Yes,
Roland.
can I come in?
Your time over.
Kev,
Your time over.
No,
Kev,
Let him
I'm
finish ask
just saying,
question.
I'm saying bye to the
yes.
show. I'm saying
Am
bye
I,
to
am
the
I,
show. Nice talking to you.
let me
I'll be listening in the back.
yes.
let me
One
ask my
question
So,
each, guys. One
let me
Okay,
question
ask
okay.
each.
my question.
yes, so
Huh?
one question.
Yeah,
Is it
Tuga,
my?
go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, so
So,
I
who
wanted
time is it?
to,
Tuga, you in la bro. Let me have
yeah, can I come in now?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Toga, go ahead. Then we'll go to Robert. Let's go one question each. We want to take a few phone calls and then call the minister and give it closing.
Okay, so I can just tie everything into one.
No, one question, bro. One question.
One question.
Tuga, do it the honest way. You know how to do it.
Yeah, so I am first of all very concerned about the single souls and no objection from the PPCC. Talking about 9 companies and what was such a hiss about. There was no competitive process. I don't know amongst these companies you're talking about, which is the newest one. What have they done before? You know, I mean, there are several companies in the country that want to compete. What you just did was to bar them from competing. You had 9 companies that you practically just handpicked. You did not follow all the requisite. Yes, please. So that is a serious issue. That 9 companies were awarded contract by one soul seeking, no objection at the PPCC, and you ran with them as though there was so much haste about that. Another thing is, all that you named, there are some segment of the country that we are told are also being done by private companies. I mean, private companies like B Mountain, for example, is doing something around the RTR. It's not named in your 90 days programs. You practically put all these projects under the government of Liberia. When some of these institutions are doing these things, to gain some support from the communities in which they operate. I don't know whether you have any experience as such, or are you deliberately refusing to inform the public that there are some institutions, private institutions, that are doing some of these work, like I'm hearing between the RTR and the Sino corridor. There are some other under your public works, under the 100 days deliverable, that you did not do. For example, the Grand Bassa University bridge was never touched under the 100-day procedure. Why? Up to now, there is now one stick taken to the Grand Bassa University. That plot becomes very deplorable. No route is using there. Students are barely going to school because of this. The government had it under the 100 days deliverable, and that was never touched. The last thing I want to say is the issue that got to do with the River G corridor. On all your lateral stuff you did, there's not much spoken about River G corridor. And the River G corridor is one of the most deplorable roads that we have in the country. As we speak, people are still stuck along that road. I don't know whether the 100 days affected them or so forth. And you're talking about there are some pavement. I know time is fast spent, but I could go on naming to you. There are some of these places that the past government already signed, like there's a pavement between Fishtown to Kelipo, 20 kilometer status of road that was already signed. The contractor is Chico, and this is an African Development Bank project. Most of these roads along those corridors are already paid for. And I could go on naming you several roads that the past regime paid for on different instances and institutions, international bodies that have paid for some of these corridors. I think when you're coming to the public, you should be able to clearly state that we have gotten funding for some of these, or the past government has already signed some of these agreements and taking all of the credits. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Let me start with the last part. I don't think you were listening, because if you were, you won't speak the way you spoke, especially with the last thing you said about taking credit 100%. I came here and I highlighted, and I know you fair to say that the last government did some work in terms of securing some of the funding. Either you are not listening or you are not yet. So if you are not, then let me clarify that. And if you talk about the Kellyboat to Fishtown, of course, the project is ongoing, but there's still 100 kilometers that's left. So you don't know much about that than I know as the Minister of Public Works. I work in the sector, I know the sector. So you can tell me about the sector, about roads that you know about, financed by international partners that I don't know about. You're speaking to the Pope. On the issue of the projects, the 100-day, that which you say, and nothing was done, just handpicked. No, there's a whole process that took place. And let me tell you that the cabinet together endorsed the process that we took. Single source or sole source is by law. It is within the procurement law. Okay. So we provide the justification. The PPCC saw that those justifications were good enough, and they gave the no objection. All right. So we didn't handpick. First, we had the engineers to go and do estimate. Those contractors that were selected restrictively, which is a part of the process, were brought to the table. They went on the site and also did their estimate. Then there was a negotiated cost, and we have all the documents, a full document done by the Deputy for Technical Services and his team. For that was done, we had to send that to PPCC for their review. Okay, so there was a whole process. It doesn't mean because it was single source there was no process. So that's not true. Like I said earlier, it is believed that there's nobody who can do anything right in this country. Especially anybody that come to government is supposed to be a rogue. So I accept that. You heard what Henry Gonglu saying, as far as you know, is there's corruption. That's the perception. That's it. And that's what you get. But I'm not afraid to make the decision I ought to make. The result that come out of that now is what you're seeing. And you said they dragged you to Graduate corridor. Yes, Chico is working in that corridor. They've already paving the road up to Kelibo and not up Kelibo, or also up to Putuken. There's 11.5 kilometers that they're paving. From Putuken to Zwerju is about 98.5 kilometers, broken into two lots, 50 and 49. That's what two contractors will be.
I said Grand
Yes,
Chile
yeah,
to
that.
River G, please. I said Grand Chile to
Well,
River
Chief,
G.
it's
I did not
actually,
say Nima
but
to.
wait now, wait. Wait now, Kelibo, wait now, my man, Kelibo, can we again? That where? That Nima? I'm saying
No,
Zwerju.
you're talking about Nima to Grand Chile. I'm talking about from Grand
No, I
Chile
didn't say Nima to
to
Grand
River
Villa. I
G.
said
That's what I'm talking
Zwerju to
about. I'm
Fishtown.
saying nothing has
Chief,
been done in that
Chief,
corridor.
listen,
On your
listen. I
100 days
said,
deliverable plan, no
listen.
anything
That's not
between Grand
true.
Chile to
But you're not
Let the minister
listening.
talk.
Toga, you're
huh?
not listening. You're not listening. That's your problem. If you're listening, then you'll be okay. You're not listening. Chico is responsible to take care of that corridor. Okay? That's about 75 kilometers from Zwerju to Putuken in River G. They're working on it currently. The people who came from there recently talk about the work that's been done. In fact, most of the critical spots have been stabilized. I just spoke to the university engineers out there. So if you say they're not working, I don't know where you're sitting. I don't know where you are sitting currently. I don't know whether you're in the southeast. To say nobody working there, then you're not saying the right thing. Because Chico has the contract to maintain that corridor from Zwerju to Putuke, and they are there currently working and stabilizing the corridor. I don't know where you got that information from, but like I said, it is the perception. And I'm the kind of person, I'm not afraid to make decisions. I'm not afraid because people would think that, oh yeah, Giddens is corrupt. But the fact that he went ahead together with the Ministry of Public Works and the cabinet and advised them to proceed this way, he's a rogue. I accept to be a rogue. The evidence will show whether I rogue or not. But at the end of the day, the work is done. At the end of the day, people will drive in this corridor and see that the Unity Party-led government by Ambassador Barker has done a good job in just 100 days. 22 million, if you divide it by the amount of road done, it's anywhere 28,000 to 32,000 per kilometer. That is the average cost for maintenance road. Because everything is bundled together, it's sound like plenty of money. That's the work that we've done. And I'm proud of the work that we've done. I can say that. And I take responsibility for the work that we've done.
Rob, go ahead. One question.
Let me ask my one question. Join the exchanges, and I got to say, I would be remiss if I did not emphasize on this. To the minister, I got to say thank you for making yourself available to the crossfires. We understand that there have been a lot of ministers that have been appointed in this government. They have shied away from coming on this platform for whatever reasons. There are some very intelligent people on this platform, people who know their craft. You have Professor Larry Candidate, who basically asks you some economic question. You got Alex, some really smart people. Of course, politics will always be involved. But I just want to say, from individually and on behalf of the platform, thank you for making yourself available and answering the tough questions. Okay, we're not in a political campaign. You and I, you know how we went back and forth during the campaign, and I'm not the biggest fan of Unity Party, but this is about a country, and campaign is different from governance. And so I want to say thank you again for making yourself available. Here is my question to you. There's this question, I think a lot of folks have alluded to that already, but there's a serious question as to whether or not the laws were followed or adhered to with regards to the bidding process. You talk about the process. The process was followed, right? But I heard you mention a lot about the PPC, the PPCC. But there's also the Public Financial Management Law and the PPCC that talks about the full process of awarding contracts. Let me ask you this simple question: Do you think, and just be honest, do you think, first of all, did the legislature, did they approve of the fundings that were used? Did they approve of this contract? Did you get legislative approval of this contract before the process was completed, or before these contracts were awarded? And do you think that you and the ministry, you are the head of this ministry. Do you think that in hindsight that you guys fully followed every step of the law with regards to the PFM and the PPCP Act, and of course the reinstated Act, Procurement Act of 2005? Do you think that was properly followed?
So let me say this: we did, and the first thing we did was to put in place, because there's advanced procurement that you can do. We put in place a procurement plan for this project. And what we did when we submitted that to the PPCC had to get the financial backing to say where the money comes from. So the PPCC contacted the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Finance was in the know of this. The legislature went ahead and approved an amount, as 41 million, okay, which was 1/12 of the budget at the time. So the Ministry of Finance wrote the PPCC to say, look, the draft budget has factored in this amount for the Ministry of Public Works intervention. And so it is captured under that. And we want you to proceed with the contracting process. So with that letter from, because don't forget, the Ministry of Finance is the manager of the Public Financial Management Law. They are the one that supervise and oversees the Public Financial Management Law. So if they went ahead and wrote PPCC to say, go ahead with what you're doing, all of this is being factored in the draft budget, and even under the 112, there's an amount allocated for the Ministry of Public Works intervention. PPCC took that letter and went ahead and gave us the no objection to proceed. We took the no objection and, of course, developed a letter to proceed to the contractors, developed the contract, sent it to Finance, Finance signed it. The Minister of Justice, Councillor Toy, approved the project, approved the contract, attested to the contract. These are all the players that attest to government contracts. And as far as I know, once the PPCC has approved the special procurement plan and got the, because PPCC could not get no adjustment if Finance Ministry did not write them to say it is covered, go ahead. So Finance allowed them to go ahead because Finance wrote them to say it's covered. And then they sent us the letter to say, we give you the no objection to proceed. And with that, we developed the contract. I signed it, sent it to Finance, the Minister of Finance signed it, and the Minister of Justice attested. That's the process. So as
what
far as
about
I know,
legislative approval? You haven't.
well, again, no, the legislature does not approve contract. It's a mistake.
They don't
The
approve
legislature
contract,
does not approve
but
contract.
the act talks about ensuring that the funds are available before.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So the Ministry of Finance, which is the financial arm on the side of the executive, wrote the PPC and said, look, this amount is captured within the draft budget. In fact, under the 112, Ministry of Public Work has an amount that was already approved by the legislature. So if Finance did that and sent that information to PPCC, and PPCC went ahead and gave us the no objection, then we proceeded. Then we proceeded. Okay, so under the 112, there was an amount allotted to Public Works. It was under that portion that the Ministry of Finance even did an allotment to Public Works. So the Public Works did not have its own money sitting somewhere and just went to the bank, took the money, and started to work with contractor. There was a whole process. All of those that were supposed to be involved in that process participated and played their role. So if there was any misgivings in what we did, then PPCC, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Finance, we all went through a complete disaster to get this done. As far as I know, what we did were in line with what was required. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I know.
Yes.
If I can just come in.
Dr. Peabody, you're muted.
I think it's my turn, right?
I think I go to Alex with one question. Let's go one question.
Okay.
We'll go to
Okay. So, Mr. Minister, again, I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm just going to give my closing argument, and then you can comment on it if you like. And I'm going to try to give you some advice or some, just my view on things, of how things going. I'm not a CDC man or a party man. And this whole discussion here for the last 2 hours has been behind one thing: $22 million in roles. I think maybe they need to change your job to Minister of Roads, because I studied engineering, civil engineering, and I think civil engineering is more than roads. But everybody in Liberia ever talking about roads, and you're not even talking about creating new roads. You're talking about grading roads, and the whole country is carried away. So my advice here, one is the question that what his name, Professor Kennedy point to you, it's a very important question. Before you undertake a project, you must do a feasibility study. And I don't blame you, I blame the entire cabinet. You have 635 people, I think, working in your under the Ministry of Public Works. I'm sure there are financial analysts, there are other areas of assessment project that are in your ministry that should have done that are getting paid. At the Ministry of Finance, there's another maybe 800 people working there. The president alone got, I think, about 4 or 5, maybe 20 different advisors. What are all these people doing that they can make a simple economic assessment? And I have done the assessment. All right. Your GDP right now is 4.6%. It's projected over the next 3 years to peak at only 6%. So that means everything that you're going to do for the next 3 to 4 years is going to add literally no economic impact to Liberians. On top of that, the debt is going to go up. You're running about $80 billion of debt every year. So times that by 5. Liberia is in serious trouble. Because when they look at the immediate, I fix this rule here. What all these people in the government, what the economic advisors doing? What the Minister of Finance doing? The issue in Liberia is jobs and economic growth. There are countries in Africa that came from war are growing 12, 13%, even 20%. Libya. There's no growth in the country. There's no job in the country. Whether you fix road, you fix railroad, you fix. If you cannot provide job, how are you going to fund if the roads are not giving economic benefits? All the roads, you spend $3 billion. In your own statement, you said that the Ministry of Public Works only contributed about $3 million to the budget. So you're spending $23 million or $36 million, and what are you getting? $3 million. And you're borrowing most of that money. So the last point I want to make here, you said that the government of Liberia does not have the capacity to carry on some of these rules, and they did a very bad job. My advice to you, there are many Liberians all over the world that have civil engineering degrees that want to help the country. But we shouldn't be even having foreign companies to grade road. Grading road is not a rocket science. Liberians should be able to pay to get the people, if they have to set up a company or help the ministry, so that you don't have to spend the kind of money. You got a ministries. Many ministries don't even have water system. They pin on it. I looked at a picture of the Ministry of Finance, and it's deplorable. Nobody is going to give you, nobody's going to take a country serious when they look at the Ministry of Finance and it looks like a prison. There's no maintenance. So Ministry of Public Works is not just for roads. You're talking about infrastructure. We haven't mentioned anything about what's the plan in order. There's countries that are building new city, Kenya, Ivory Coast, Bay, Yamoussoukro, whole new city, Abuja. And we're talking about grading roads, and we're spending 2 hours on just, we grade a road, we spend the money. I think the Liberians are smart Liberians. Utilize them to have a symposium, get Liberians in different areas, finance, economics. Use some of your budget to beef that up so that at least you can be able to stimulate economic growth, which is the only thing that will make any government look good. So I thank you again for coming. Yeah, this is not personal, but this is not personal to you. So I hope you don't see it as a personal attack. But like I said, you cannot carry on project and you spend money when you don't know why you're spending the money. If it's just for political reason, then it's terrible. Because there are people in the country who need jobs. There are people in the country who needs opportunity. There are thousands of students graduating, no job. Whether you face a role in, Cape Town or wherever, if it does not generate more money to the government, or it does not grow the economy at least to 9-10%, you're a failure. So that's why I ask this country, because we spent over $4 billion. The EU and the foreign partners during the first term of the LA administration to the second term, they spent over $350 million on roads in Liberia. I saw the report. We can't even maintain the Morovia roads. We don't even have good street lights, stop sign that causing death to people. And we're just talking about grading roads. So it's very disappointing. I'm very disappointed. And what I see is just this whole thing is just a political thing where, we did it here because the other people didn't do it. And I think as a minister, you should be beyond that. And I think they help people like Larry Kennedy. These are people who are willing to help you. Reach out to them. The president, reach out to people so that you can get your expertise. Because you say you got dream brain in Liberia. But then there are Liberians all here, nurses, doctor, engineer, all. What are you doing with these people? So you have the capacity, you have Liberians that are qualified, but you refuse to use them. So you bring construction company and say, okay, we'll just take care of the problem now. So that's my advice. I hope you go back to the cabinet and you ask for those numbers. Let the Ministry of Finance provide you with financial analysts so that they can look at the returns on the investment that you're making, because that's Liberian people money that is dead and it's going to suffer the country in the long term. But thank you again. I respect you for coming. And but I'm just disappointed. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I think you should start there, but you're just saying the disappointment is the number.
So I mean, I like I like the outburst. Okay, it's easier to say than to do. So I like that. I mean, I like what you're doing. That's okay. No offense to that. But let me say this. When we said that for the maintenance work on a gravel road, we don't do feasibility study. That's what we mean. When we are building roads, elevating roads from gravel road to asphalt pavement, there are economic analysis done on that, and we can talk about that, about the benefits. Okay, you asked me about gravel road, and I said no, we will not do a feasibility study on a gravel road. Now it's different to do a cost estimate, an assessment, a cost estimate on paving, rehabilitating a gravel road as compared to doing a full feasibility study on upgrading a road from gravel to asphalt or to rigid pavement. There's two different things. Yeah, I know we are talking all the thing we're talking. That's two different things. And I'm
Yeah,
not
but I don't
going
mean
to
so.
get involved in that.
I don't think you
Let me talk
understand.
now, man.
No, I don't want to correct you. I need to understand what Larry was saying. Larry was not
No,
saying that
wait,
it has to do with a
Chief,
gravel
I come
road.
in, let me talk. Let me talk. And so I'm not saying, and you asked me for numbers on the number of jobs that will be created. And I said, you want me to just sit there and say we'll create 10,000 jobs? I'm not going to do that. And then you hold me to that. I said to you, I don't have the numbers, but there will be job created. If you have contractors hired in a corridor doing maintenance work, of course, there will be daily hires that they will hire. There will be job created, it's obvious. The economic benefit, if the road become pliable, what does that do? Just time, saving time alone is economic. In terms of how long people take to travel, it is. The wear and tear on vehicles and transportation vehicles and private vehicles is economic also. Okay, the fact that you are making road the accessibility to farm and markets, and they're able to get their goods to the market is not economic. We don't have to talk about all that. I know sometimes people, go with that thing there, and I understand. I'm the one on the fire, so I will accept that. Okay, and no offense. Yes, like I said to you, I'm not an engineer by practice, but I've been in the sector for a while, and my background being a public sector administrator with good experience get me where I am today, and I'm able to do this job that I'm doing. Okay, I know we talk about the engineering thing. The issue of bringing other people on, look, this is the government. There are different people that come at certain point in time. The government not going to go around looking for people say, oh, who got this degree, who educated, who got this experience, come for a job. No, you got to make yourself available. And when you're available and you're in the space, you find the opportunities. The issue of contracting is what we do, and it's not limited just to that. So yes, there are jobs that are created, and nobody will argue that. Okay, there are studies that are done. You talk about the growth, all the money we spend in the sector. You want to tell me that we didn't generate any job? We did. There were several jobs created. There were times where we took 7 hours from Monrovia to Kanta. Today, you take 2 hours, 30 minutes. You want to tell me there's no economic benefit? If you look in our corridor and see, there was a growth constraint analysis done by the MCC when we look at constraint on the economy in terms of growth. And there's two things that came the binding constraint: investment in road, investment in energy. And that's why the government look at those two as key major economic infrastructure to invest in. And that's why we're doing everything we can to invest in roads. And as we invest in the road, it enhances, of course, economic growth. Like I said, but by 4 years, we could be driving from here to Maryland on asphalt road. You could get up 5 o'clock in the morning and get to Harper by 1:30, 2 o'clock. Isn't that going to be a major boost in terms of our economic growth, in terms of tourism and other activities that can take place? Yes, there will be. I think what we need to do, we are in a space now. We play our role and we try to play our role well, so that people like you who are abroad and want to come, you can come. In fact, the country is open to you. You can always come with your expertise and get in the space. But you can be out there and
Our
think
next
that people go
president,
looking for you.
our
Get
next
in the
president.
space, oh man, and make yourself available with the expertise. You could be a
You
part of what
need to
happened here.
have you need to have
And I mean,
symposium.
that's it.
You need to
So
have
I'm not the
symposium. You need to
president.
have conferences.
We've had we have a lot of people to come back who are now in the government in their situation, their home now. So it's good. I mean, I like the outburst. I mean, I like the sincerity. But we're gonna do what we have to do. Okay, we're gonna do
Let
what
me
we have
close
to
from my
do
end, Mr.
to try
Minister.
to
And
All right,
enhance our
Sylvester, I give
economic
you
development.
one more.
Besides
Thank
that,
you.
there are
Sylvester, we
also
give you
horizontal
time.
and vertical construction that's taking place. The Ministry of Public Works also look at civil works. You didn't ask me about that. We're just talking about all the questions on the 22 million. When I started earlier, I spoke about our plans. Okay, I also spoke about that. I spoke about urban planning. I spoke about that. You came late. I spoke about what we're doing to open up the city in terms of opening up out and do proper urban planning. I spoke about that. Okay, but all the thing is on the 22 million because the issue of somebody being corrupt. So that's where we all tie it. So yeah, we speak that. When I come back, another time to speak about some of the other issues in terms of the reform in the sector and what we're doing to enhance infrastructure development, the Ministry of Public Works is supposed to transition to a rural authority. And we're supposed to have what you call the Ministry of National Infrastructure to not focus on building standards, policy, and regulation to not regulate the entire infrastructure sector. These are things we can talk about, but everything was squeezed up in this. You think we just sitting here and just became the Minister of Public Works by mistake? It's not by mistake, Chief. But that's within you.
All right,
That's
let's
very
go
nice
to
video, sir. Thank
let's
you.
go to Sylvester.
All right.
So if I give you one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. It's 7:45.
you,
The
you
minister
just
got
put
it
me,
over.
you put me in
Maybe
the
we can
corner.
take
I
it.
mean, I would nothing.
I asked you one question. All these guys have
You give me one anyway, no problem.
Yeah, but God, next
But
time
Mr.
you gotta
Minister,
need come on time. We can't
Tutu
keep the
is
minister here all day long.
our incoming president. 2023 was the runaway president. Now with you. But on a most serious note, we don't have much. I don't have much time to really come in here, but I did listen to you, Mr. Minister, from the perspective. But before, are you still the chairman on program policy? Quickly, I just want to pass through that. Are you still the chairman and competently Minister of Public Works?
Say that again. I didn't get the question.
Are you still the chairman for program and policy of the Unity Party, at the same time serving as Minister of Public Works of the Republic of Liberia?
Yes, I am.
Is that not in violation of the code of conduct, Mr. Minister?
Which session?
No, I'm not talking about section now. Is that not okay?
Let's talk about section.
No, it's my gospel. It's section 2.69. Is that not in violation of that section?
What is it?
That you cannot be an active government official and take part into active politics.
But where have you seen me in active politics in recent?
You stay the chairman of a political party in the Republic of Liberia.
Does that mean I'm involved in active politics?
Competently, Minister of Public Works. Do you want?
Does that mean I'm involved in politics? I came on the show not to do this. Kev started that. Now you bringing it towards it.
Mr. Minister, listen.
When the last have you heard me speak politics or talk about political party, wherever? When last you saw me involved in politics?
The fact that you still carrying the position as vice chair for program and policy of the Unity Party, and at the same time, I will work Minister of the Republic. And as a matter of fact, do you know that the President of the Republic of the World just appointed an ombudsman and his team?
But how you ask me if I know that? How should I not know that?
And you in the know of that state blatantly violating. I'm just trying to, okay. Mr. Minister, I want to know that thing. Let me. I know I took you off balance a little bit. You know that I do the things. You know, we all started things setting up.
Okay.
I think they are hitting it when I'm going to say, oh, you see, we need visual cycle. That's the liberal tendency. I'm not the most serious note, Mr. Minister. That's it. You know, I just thought to push it a little bit on this process, and I know very well we always going about this process and the rest of that. That's the reason the last time I disagreed with my own big brother here, Gonglo, when he said, "Oh, Mr. Guineas and the public what they call." I said, "No, Mr. Gonglo. If you are not done, if no one has investigated him, found him liable or guilty by a court, You cannot say the man is corrupt. We love to come out, and that's what kind of a line we, from the perspective of the new
Well, that's
administration.
that's the society you have. That's the
Yeah, so
society
just
you have.
coming arbitrarily
Yeah,
deem someone as corrupt, and I
we
disagree with
accept
him
the
last on the
society
show.
like that.
I disagree with him vehemently last time. He said it again today, and I would disagree with him today, right? But again, let me say
Talk
this.
about it. If there's a new line of debate, some I'm being attacked, can I then come in to talk?
No, you don't have to come in. You don't want to come in. You find room to come in.
We
Well,
have
that's
the
my
guest,
time.
guys.
Okay, so
The
let's up.
guest.
Guys, okay, can I go talk 1 minute? We gotta go, guys.
I'm not done. I'm not done, Brother Peabody. You know, and that's one of the reasons we come on the show. We don't have time to talk on the show. You know, that's the problem.
Guys, I'm sorry, like, the minister gotta go to work tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotta
what
go
I'm
to
saying.
work. It's
Let me
late. Yeah, but Sylvester, I think you're done. You made a comment. I think
No. I was just
yeah,
pushing.
but we only got 10 minutes. We gotta go.
Give me 30
guys.
seconds. Give me 30 seconds.
You
Let
can't,
me end
you
here.
can't just
30
say
seconds.
something like that. You call my name.
30 seconds. But quickly, part of the reason why I want to defend this process about this this PPCC process and what have you here in our republic, when it's the cause of extreme emergency, there's a need, because we are the republic. The government is a republic. The government have to seek the interest. We need to leave politics aside. Seek the interest of the people of the bureau. And the process of a car getting hung up in the mud, it's about extreme to beef economic activities across the country. The head of that institution will see need.
What are extreme emergency?
To, of course.
Come on.
That is the extreme emergency, Mr. Gongolo. That is the extreme emergency. To ensure you need the road to be cut off, so people will not hit across the country. It's an extreme emergency. We deem that extreme emergency if you don't understand that. The last time, just around the Philadelphia area, when one of those crossover bridge came down, what did the government of this country? I mean, it's an extreme
emergency. It was not foreseen.
Eh?
That was emergency.
That is also when you have most of our roads across the country that are not pliable. The government have to do issue. Listen, we need to comment. Listen, Mr. Minister, let me say this before I leave this show tonight. Your stewardship as to how you engage the ministry currently, and I want to be clear, I want to leave politics aside. I think you're on a right trajectory of moving the Ministry of Public Works in the right direction. If it would say that the PPC allow you to do what you did in terms of connecting our people in the villages, in the hard to reach area, I think you guys need to continue this process and do that. We need to sometimes get out of ourselves and leave politics aside and go back to the interest of the country. That's part of the line. And I'm very clear about this process here. It's not all the time we'll bring politics here. I just want to say thank you and continue to do the job of the people of the Republic. Thank you.
All right, guys. We want to
thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
All right, guys. Time. Minister, let me say also on behalf of the closing argument, thank you for coming. I know you had everybody engaging here. That was, I mean, a lot of questions, and I really appreciate your patience and how you comport yourself, you know, the tolerance and everything like that. But the last time you were here, I told you that I already named you a Minister of Public Works. You got mad with me on this, you said I was following Keff. Now you are, but I think we appreciate you coming, Roland. I hope you come back, and thank you for answering our question. I think you were really tolerant and you really took your time. You know, if somebody else, if there's some other folk, I could see them exploding here tonight because the question was just pouring. But I enjoy how you really engage it, and hope you come back. Thank you for coming. Give your closing, and then we'll call you a shot. Thank you so much.
No, I will come back, but let me say thank you, for having me. Like I said to Tomalin, when he asked that I come, I said, don't forget, I have a space, and I think I still have a space here, and I will continue to come. There's no reason why we shouldn't come. And when we start to do some of the great things that are in the works, you will be proud of what we're doing. I know, like I said, there is the perception, and I accept that. Like Mr. Gonlo, calling me, a corrupt person, a criminal, for example, that's okay. I mean, I don't blame him. It's the society we have. And like I said, until we start to deal with corruption in a way that people go to jail for what they do, and the society start to think that, yes, the government means well for us, we're not going to get, a society that won't believe so. So like I said, any one of us, today, any one of you come to government, right away, you're corrupt. They want you consider as a rogue. That's how it is. That's how people believe. So and if you mind that, you won't take any decision. If I mind that, I won't do the thing that I did, and I know what I've done, and I know I've done nothing wrong. I did it in the interest of the country. And if I have the opportunity, I will do it again, because this is what we should do. We should be deliberate about the actions we take to try to change the country. And I try to stay within the law. And I got the support from the other ministry and agency attached to this. Today, the results that you see out there is because of the action we took. So I have no regret for it. Like I said, I take responsibility for this, and the outcome will show whether we were doing this with bad intention, or we're doing it because we wanted to be corrupt, or wanted to get bribes and all that kind of thing. That some of us character, we come a long way. There are people who know us. So I don't mind people calling me the way they will call me, because I know that's what the society offers, and you don't blame people. So thank you for having me. When I need to come, when there's anything I have to talk about, I will definitely come and we have the conversation. Sylvester, thank you for believing that, trusting the character. I know you're not fighting for it, but you just believing that we're doing what is right. And I appreciate the fact that you can do this publicly. Robert, thank you to everybody who, push all the questions, very good questions, hard questions. And I did that. Beda, Toga, I don't know you like that. I know you are pushing very hard, but that's okay. I mean, I accepted all of that, and let's do it again once we can do it. But thank you. But I can promise you that we'll do a lot. The Public Works will definitely be that ministry that you want to see. Thank you for
And
having me.
please convey
Good
to the
luck.
other folks to come on.
Good
Let
luck.
them come on. Let's have a nice conversation like we just did. We're not
Well,
cutting
I
heads.
know about
You're the second
other
minister.
people.
We already have the current minister Ben here. You're the second minister.
Okay.
So that's good.
Well, I don't know about the other people, but I will talk to some of them who I think should come here. I don't see why, you shouldn't come here, especially if it's, of course,
Before you leave,
it's tough and objective, interaction. I think we should
before you leave,
avail
do
ourselves.
before you leave, you have an idea when Robert's role will finish? You have an idea when it will
Oh, I asked that question
So, like
already.
I said, we are extending it for 2 years. We are hoping that within 2 years it gets completed. Yes.
2 years?
Yeah, because the thing about it, we ourselves as a government has to, like I said to you, we've only paid 19 million to East since they started working. The country has 116 million. So they have sourced all the money they have now. And once they work up to that, we have to match up in terms of payment. So we have to do a lot more, to get the project ended. But we're working with them and trying to fix it. I know they are not very happy with some of the decisions we're taking, but we're doing it because we want the project to work. Yeah. So thank you
Quick
for
question.
having me.
Thank you, Minister.
Quickly say,
Sylvester, Minister.
Vice Chair for Policy and Public Works Minister A, I would take this. Which one you take?
I will take the vice chair for policy.
Good night, Mr. Minister. Good night.
Thank you for coming on, man. Thank you. Well, God, it was a great show. It's good to have the minister on. We will just have our closing. We'll start with
Hey, look, the minister don't want to go.
Toga.
No, I'm going. I gotta sleep.
Okay, yeah. We'll have a Toga give a closing, and we'll go to Ketabu and Robert. Tomalin will take it over, and that'll be. But all in all, I think it was a great show. The minister did a great thing to come on the show. It was not. We just didn't spoon feed him. There was some very tough question here, and
Yes.
I think he did his best in answering this question. He was very calm. I didn't see a moment where he was, going to have a outburst or, I think that was very professional of him, in dealing with those questions. I think that's what we need, and so guys, take it over, man. Tomalin, take it over.
Yes, Toga do his closing, right? Okay.
Yes, so it was a very good show. There were some very punching questions, some softer ones. I think the minister should have taken notes of some of the issues that were raised. I think he came to the show with a whole knowing all kind of knowledge, and that was a bit problematic for me. There were some of the questions that were not answered. Take for example, there were some things captured under the Ministry of Public Works that I thought, under the 100 days deliverable, they would have done those things. Okay, He reneged on talking about some of them. I mentioned specifically the Grand Bassa University breach that was never touched, but it was captured under the 100 days deliverable. Nobody went there. There was nothing done about that breach. The issue of the Southeast, the issue of, I mean, when you come on these shows, you should be able to clearly distinguish what you are doing, what you met, and what you intend to do. You know, you can't be talking about only what's going on from your end. And I think that's what he did. There are some of these places that were already signed by the previous administration. Maintenance work continued to go on, like in the Southeast Corridor, like the ITI and other places. You know, B Mountain is trying to explore that region into river sets and other places. So they are trying to appease the people in that belt. So they've been doing some of the roads there as well. You can capture them on your quote unquote 22 million, 100 days deliverable. You should be able to distinguish these things. And there are some that are already paid for by international people. That those things should all be captured, so that we can know. You could not deny the fact that the minister, the former minister of public works, left with you over 27 equipment with over 20 some more outstanding, but you deny the fact that that you did not meet around 400 kilometers of road done by the same minister when they name it. So I got before me the entire turnover notes. So the turnover note, there are certain ones that you accept. There are certain areas that you think that will give the past administration credit that you want to ignore. And I think that was very, very deceptive. Lastly, the issue of that PPCC thing is very concerning. I even wanted to ask, but because you were not taking too many notes, what's the newest company on that list of 9 companies? He talked about 6 Liberian companies and 3 foreign companies. If you really check, you will come to realize that up to maybe 50 to 60% of those 6 Liberian companies should be brand new companies. And that would be wrong. And there where emergency does not come into play. You cannot say emergency comes into play, but you bring a company that you established 1 month ago, and you gave them a major contract over companies that have been existing for ages. No competitive bidding processes. You run to PPCC, you turn the PPCC arm, like Mr. Gonglo said. Hey, Mr. Gonglo was right about anything. Like Mr. Gonglo said, you run to PPCC. Everybody now is jittery in the country about any job. Oh yeah, if you don't do this, your unobtained job is over, and all that kind of thing. I don't know when the next show, but just something I want to drive in before I go. There is another issue that is happening at the LTA, and it has to do with the acting chairperson of the LTA running a group called Tama Group. That group and the outgoing acting LTA boss had a business ongoing with over 2 million deposited at a bank in Liberia. This man is going to become acting LTA boss, and he was doing business with the outgoing administration. Now, the outgoing administration has been suspended by the president, and that outgoing administration is ongoing investigation at the GAC or auditing processes. And you suspended them basically because they are going to be audited. Now, this new man who has come in was also doing business with the outgoing people who himself will have to be answering some questions from the same GAC. I think President Bouaka has to study this thoroughly, because you cannot have an acting LTA chairman who is also going to be answering some of these questions at the GAC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Okay. Yeah, they're 2 minutes. One minute, rather. 1 minute with time, all the time.
Yeah. So I thought
I'm
that
next, right? I'm next. So guys, let me say this. It was a good show.
All right.
I'm sorry that I was in and out of the show, but basically, the minister said what he said. The law is the law. I tapped in the PPCC Act, the revised Act of 2010. It's in the chat room. Anyone can look there, go there and look, particularly in the section that deal with soul. Soul generally people say single souls, because soul is the single as synonymous. So it's a synonym. So Yes, you can use that. But let me say this. There are conditions for you to sow souls or to single souls. What the minister did, anyone can go and read it, the letter in black and white. None of the conditions the Ministry of Public Works did not meet those conditions. 100 days pronouncement by a candidate then Boyka and President Boyka does not meet the condition of emergency. For this, my dear brother Sylvester Pugh, to even say car getting stuck in the mud is an extreme emergency. You know, I think he lives in different planets, and probably in his professional field, that's how they define extreme emergency. Because car been in Liberia forever. It's a normal thing. It's normalized in Liberia. Now you call it extreme emergency, right? But that's Liberia what it is. The minister argument that, oh, the Minister of Justice signed to that. I can show you agreements that previous Minister of Justice signed, and these agreements are not also good. I don't even need to go far. Let's go to 66 of the concessions that the legislature ratified, the Minister of Justice signed, the President signed, the current President, Vice President signed. What did the international auditors say about that concession? That they did not meet. In fact, they didn't say bogus, but they say these concessions did not meet the minimum requirement of the law. That's the whole nation. Now you're taking small contracts. Oh, the Minister of Justice, the Finance Minister, the Deputy Minister of Budget. If Tomalin, I will encourage you, please tell the Minister to give you all the documents he's talking about, particularly a letter from the Minister of Finance indicating to contract to PBCC that there is money there. I can go back and show you, and I will fight and get it because the documents are at PBCC. When Minister Gideons and Judy Moore apologized, that is part of the thing we're using. They say commitment to proceed. And it was not just then, even the minister before then, they did use the same thing. Commitment to proceed, there is no provision for that under the PPC's law. You can't commit government on the basis of that.
10 more seconds.
That budget was a draft budget. Okay? It was a draft budget. Under the PFN law, the 112 he's talking about is very clear that it's for salary and other incidental. It's not to go with mega contracts. No, because it's meant to keep government running while the legislature is debating the budget. So the 112 rule is let's keep government though running. There may be official travel by the president out of the country or secret travel. Those are the reasons, but not to go get $22 million contract. No, that under the 112 rule, it doesn't suffice. I mean, I have no one single time to talk, but hey, God, we can dig into this thing. I work in government. I manage a project for your information, PU, the great FMTP. If you look in government today, most, I guess 80% of the procurement staff in public sector
what a time now.
Project. These people were trained by my project, the project I was the director for. So I have vast knowledge on the PPCC law because it was a complete course that we taught our students.
We'll debate that now today. We cannot take that today. I will reserve whatever you say. I will reserve it for next time. Going to the debate.
Let me get my closing. Yeah. Listen, I think that again, campaign is over, right? Campaign is over.
Exactly.
And I think the reason why this platform is well respected is that we are able to put aside our political differences and focus on governance and ask the tough questions. I think that's very important, right? And so that said, I think that the minister came on. He answered some tough questions. I think some tough questions were asked. We did not spare him. We asked some serious, tough questions, and he was able to answer those questions. There are concerns as it relates to the process, right? And Kellebu might have a point, but I think it's unfair to just blanketly say that the man is corrupt because of the process, right? I think it's unfair. If If the justice minister signed, if the folks from the PPCC granted him the authority, then I think it's fair for us to look at the process that authorized him holistically, and look to see if funds or monies were misappropriated, right? But I think it's unfair for anyone to just say, and you know what, and I think he understands what's happening, because a lot of Unity Party partisans did criticize and blanketly call other government officials, especially from CDC, corrupt, right? Without any evidence whatsoever. So I don't think that's something we should just do. Let's look at the process where money's missing for personal gains. Let's look at that, right? And like I said, I think that this whole 100-day promise thing, I think is difficult to achieve, and it's really really difficult, right? And so we will get to the point where we are actually criticizing when these results starts to come in, when rainy season time comes in, and those roads are not sustainable. I mean, I'm looking at it now, just thinking to myself, he's gonna be in a hot seat, right? And he already said that he will take responsibility for that, because these are his ideas, and he's in charge of that, right? But to be honest with you, I think that he did a great job answering the questions, whether we like it or not. The fact that he made himself available to answer our tough questions, I thought that was a great thing. But the one of the major things that concern me, though, Tomalin, is the fact that the RIA Road project, we will not see a completion of that project, perhaps in the first 3 years of this administration. This will be a major thing, because again, you can't convince me that you're going to start major work on those roads that are currently being gridded, dusty roads, and the main project on the RIA road is still left in the way it is right now. I mean, it's still creating traffic. There's still safety hazard on those roads. I was driving on that road for my flight at 7 o'clock in the morning. A lot of times, folks have to spend the night at Flemington Hotel, spend $180 per night, right? And so it's going to create a serious problem for this government. And I'm shocked that they are trying to extend this thing up to 2 years, when in fact people criticize the CDC-led government of going so slow with this project, and the fact that it was long overdue. But look, we'll wait and see. This Unity Party have a difficult job here when it comes to infrastructure development, and I think this minister understands that. And I'm hoping that they're ready for what's to come. But again, it was a great show, fascinating question, great show. Thank you.
You're progressive Peewee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bongolo. I think I don't have a word to talk about this emergency thing. We are into this policy process, policy development. I'm very knowledgeable about the perspective about those things, and I'm deliberate when I said I was intentional. That the process is not only about what you think. The public work minister, as a matter of fact, is not. He does not generate policy. He's not this single individual in the Republic of Liberia that generated policy is the chief executive of the Republic of Liberia, the president. It was a policy process he brought about. That is clear. And the angle is from different perspective. I believe the way the public work minister is handling this process is the best way to do it, because you need to have the road connected. If car been hitching time to time in the mud from 1847, it's about now they want to change the perspective. So we should get an opportunity to do that, because even going back to where some of us hail from across the country, we have this kind of an issue there. That's what I've said to him, and I commend him for the process. So if your perspective, because you are gung-ho on the issue about saying one is corrupt, we have even finding them liable by a competent court of jurisdiction, and that is upward for me, from my perspective as a professional. I wouldn't come and lash at you now and say you corrupt without planning and then due to the process that you being investigated or convicted through cell process. I think it is unprofessional that you have certain mindset about certain individual just because the person is in government or the rest of that. No, that is uncalled for. That's what perspective I'm coming from. And from what we sometimes, I'm one person that believe that we should criticize government, and I criticize reasonably. If there's any issue, if I criticize sometimes, I offer some solution. And that's the way we should handle things. That's the professional way we should handle things. Government got deep professional bureaucratic proceeding. We have some lapses. We don't time to time be bent on the issue, because certain people are seeking notoriety, right? They just want to criticize because they want to criticize. The Minister of Public Works started on a very good footing. The day he was slipped, I've had personal conversation with him. The last time we sat at the parliament in Monrovia, We had conversation, right? We were supporting where he needs to be supported. And he slipped with criticizing and put the solution the way forward. That's part of the reason. But to come out, the man that is there less than almost 3 months, and you say he's corrupt. I've been corrupt without investigating him. There's no audit conducted that will indict him to say he's corrupt. There's no. You said last time that the man is corrupt. And
That's
I
all the
challenge
time.
you on that.
All the time.
You said the man is corrupt, and I challenge you, Mr. Bongo.
So let's let you wrap up all the time.
Mr. Bongo, to wrap up quickly, Mr.
I just said that he lied on me.
To wrap up quickly, and when you remove that mindset, by not just coming to jump to issue the way we want to do it.
I don't worry about the responsibility.
We time to time do things in a more haphazard way, and those kind of a half-baked analysis will not always surface in the kind of a public space.
Analysis.
Those kind of half-baked analysis will surface.
No, guys, we don't have time. We don't have time, guys. We don't have time.
I look forward to what the further details.
The guy finished now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
guys. Want to say
thank you, people are going to have a wonderful good night.
Want to thank you for the show tonight. Want to say
good night.
Thank you to the minister for the show tonight. It was a great show. On the issue about the PPC issue, we'll be trying to get in touch with PPCC boss.
PPCC boss.
We'll get in touch with him. On the issue about LTA,
there was nothing wrong. There was actually nothing wrong done by the Minister of Public Works.
Yeah, we're trying to get in touch with them. On the issue of
absolutely nothing.
On the issue of the LTA boss, I think LTA boss.
We need to get the process.
We are going to reach out to him. We heard that there's something he's engaged in. Abdullah Kamara, the acting LTA boss, we will be reaching out to him to get his to according to proper due diligence about what we're hearing about him. But if we find out that actually what is in the news is true, we'll definitely be putting a strong pressure on the Senate not to even give him confirmation, and we'll be going on the presidency to withdraw his nomination, because that would be completely out of line, unfair to the people of Liberia. Okay, and also the RIA road project. Hopefully, if this administration they're not in a position to finish the road project on time during the 6 years, it will be a complete blow to them. And looking forward to them to finish the road project, RIA project. It's very important. It started under Madam Salif. President Weah continue it, and then President Baka he inherited it. Let's see what will happen. But we want to pray and hope that this road project will complete before 2029. And lastly, the president, I know he's in the U.S. He's in Dallas, Texas. Information is that he'll be addressing the forum tomorrow. We'll be monitoring it, and also we'll be engaging some of his delegation members to find out about the whole trip in America and so forth. Look forward to that. Just to end, today is the birthday of my brother-in-law, Apostle Archie Rabba. I want to say happy birthday, Archie, Apostle. Happy birthday and best wishes. Also, today is the birthday of former Finance Minister Samuel Twe. Happy birthday, Minister Twe. And also, former Liberian President Samuel Doe. Today is his birthday too. I want to happy birthday to all these people, all Liberians who celebrate their birthday today. To our audience, I want to say thank you. Keep on supporting us. I know we'll be bringing will be the Minister of Transport. I think he'll be coming, making his debut on the show. Salif Ralph Tyler, Transport Minister, will be coming on the show soon. So we're making contact with all of these people. They are willing to come and so forth. But until that, I want to say thank you, and let's call it a day. Thank you for joining us. Ansu, when the graduation again?